I know that my video doesn't align perfectly sometimes with my audio.
Oh, is it like different on Zoom because this is a webinar, not like a typical Zoom meeting?
It's a little different. I know that my video.
Oh, what word are we drinking to?
Oh, yeah, it's a party game they have sometimes in chat for us. You'll have
Uh,
to decide that for yourselves. Hey, I'm curious, one's in chat if this is your first time here with us for a Fix the Mix.
Whoa. Whoa. Wow. Wow.
a lot of first timers.
Whoa. It's still going.
Wow. Lots of first timers. All right.
Mackerel.
All right. Two's in chat if it's your second time with us here. All right, you first people, calm it down a little. I got you.
We are really excited to have you.
If you've been to 3 or more, put a 3 in chat.
14.
Nope.
Someone's
You put
14.
14. Yeah, did you see that?
Lots of 3 or more is very cool.
Regular.
Yeah. Yeah.
The regulars. You keep coming back. There's some instruction on the screen for all of you as we're waiting the last couple minutes for people are still trickling in. We just want to make sure we start with everybody here. Um, go ahead and see the instruction on the Zoom screen there. Make sure you have everyone selected in your chat settings so
Oh.
we can see.
Hey, Caleb,
Yes, sir.
did you hear that Hulk has started recycling?
Oh boy, here we go.
They say he's really going green.
It's rough. It's a
You're
rough day.
welcome.
Hey, Rob, do you still want people to get in the Fix the Mix school group, or is it better if they just check out the courses.mastering.com for everything?
Someone put a barf emoji
Crickets
for
for
that
Jake.
joke. For that joke.
Crickets for Jake. Hopefully you saw the did everyone read the FAQ in the school group?
I think some people are confused about the school.
Yeah, we're kind of transitioning over, so it is a little confusing. School is just a platform where everyone from this group can chat with each other and everything. We used to post the replays on there as well, but we've built out our own website now to have the replays on there. So now you just need to go to courses.mastering.com to see the replays.
So just to be clear, like it doesn't cost $10 a month to do that, right?
No.
Okay, yeah. So it's totally free for them to watch this portion again.
Yep.
Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, and again, they're on courses.mastering.com, so that's all free.
Okay. And the links will be sent to their emails too, right? Just in case they can't see it here.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
How's
So you
my
guys
volume? Sorry,
you're
Rob was saying my volume was quiet. Am I quiet?
a little quiet.
Let's do a volume check, shall we? How about
Check.
now? Volume check. Is
Yeah, it's good.
that better?
Uh-huh.
All right.
You sound really good to me. You sound
Oh, thanks.
amazing
Oh,
today.
thanks.
What are you drinking? What are you drinking? Like Sides has got water. I've got
I
decaf. Are you
Caleb
drinking your
I
murder
had
water
I
today?
had no, I had coffee, but I left it upstairs.
Ah, I
All right,
see.
who one's in chat if you're ready to get started. It is time to go.
go. I'm
So
ready.
excited. So excited. Sides, you've never done one of these with us. You're about to have a great time.
I'm excited. I
These
can't
are
Real
wait.
pretty
fun.
fun. Yeah, these are fun. If it's
I'm
your
ex-
first time, welcome to Fix the Mix Challenge. We do these periodically, usually once a month, and we take a mix from start to finish over the course of 3 days. It's pretty cool. You're able to ask questions and interact with each other and with us, and it's all live. And we'll, of course, answer as many questions as we can. And we're just glad to have you all here for the March version of Fix the Mix. And this is a special one. I'll talk to you a little bit about that. There's a reason Sides is here. In terms of introductions, my name is Caleb Lovelace. I'm the Director of Education for Mastering.com. Mastering.com, if you don't know, we run a large online school for producers and engineers and artists, and we help them get the skills to be a more current and modern, not modern in terms of style, but modern in terms of tools. Uh, have a great modern skill set for doing music, and we can tell you a little bit more about that another time. We also have Jake Codeweiss here. He's one of the mentors in Mastering.com. He's born a genius. I think he has IQ well over 200, one of the smartest men on earth.
Stop.
But in all seriousness, he was signed to a record deal right out of high school. He's been doing music his whole life, and toured around, and then decided he liked to do the production thing, and got into production and mixing and mastering. And he's also been in the sync world a lot. He has over 1,500 placements to date in the sync world. Very successful as a producer and a mix and mastering engineer and in sync. And he's a wonderful mentor in our program. And he's going to be the one giving you the demonstrations as we mix the song over the next few days. We also have Sides with us today. Very excited to have you here, Sides.
Thanks
Sides
for
is
having
also,
me.
yeah, Sides is also one of our awesome mentors in our school. But we've never done a Fix the Mix with her. She's actually allowed us to mix one of her new songs that's hasn't even been released yet, or has it been released?
On Friday, it's
It's
coming
coming
out.
out on Friday, and we're gonna go through a mixing process just for this song.
This one's a collab
Who's the
also.
producer? Yeah, who's the producer you worked with for this?
We're both produced on it. We both co-produced, co-sing, co-wrote. It's a real, you know, 50-50 job.
Cool.
He his name is Luke Target. He's a legend. He actually, the way we met was because he was working on the Splice. I did a pack for Splice, and anyone who's done sample packs knows like how tedious those jobs can be. So he was actually one of the producers on that project. That was, you know, a contractor of Splice, and that's how we met. So really cool that we were able to work on it together.
That's cool.
Somebody said excited.
I know, I liked that. All the puns. I love all the puns.
Those are great. Well, excited to have you here. Rob, his video's off. He may be busy, but Rob is chimed in behind the scenes. Rob Mazes. He's the CEO and director of Mastering.com. So excited to have him here with us today as well. And all of you, welcome, welcome. Excited to spend the next 3 days with you. An overview of the next 3 days and what kind of these days will look like. We usually spend 2 or 3 hours per day in a mix of mixing philosophy and demonstration. So we're going to talk to you about some concepts to think about that have to do with mixing. And we have kind of a unique approach to things. So we want to talk to you about that. And then, of course, we got to learn through doing. So we're going to watch Jake go through the entire process from start to finish of mixing this track. And we'll see if we can beat the one that's coming out Friday. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
What's fun about this challenge? Well, we aren't going to hold back. If you know anything about mastering.com, we're the ones releasing 10-hour videos on compression and EQ and all that stuff. We love to give a ton of content. We're not hiding secrets. We give a ton of free material and then do these things for free as well. and we're not going to hold back on any information. So please, if you have any questions, you can ask in the chat. If we miss them, we apologize, but there's nothing that we feel like we need to hold back. We'll help as much as we can over the next 3 days. So just engage with us, engage with each other, and we'll have a ton of fun. You get to watch a lot of valuable demonstration. So we're going to get to watch Jake do his thing over the next 3 days. And you get to engage and ask questions and be a part of a like-minded community. I feel like a community is really important, especially as we get more distant from each other. As a society, sometimes I feel like we're in our houses, we're in our studios. We don't always have connection with as many people as we could. It's really important, especially I think for musicians who feel sometimes they're like on an island, to have a community, a place where they can go and have like-minded people to speak with. So we're all about creating that kind of community, and we'll continue to offer ways for you to interact with each other and with us. So it's important. What's tricky about this challenge? Well, it is only 3 days. So can we talk about everything that has to do with mixing in 3 days? Of course not. That's not even the goal of this. You'll get what you get out of it. And hopefully that's a lot, but it is only 3 days. So we're limited in that respect. And so we're really going to try to focus on kind of like the high level principles, right? It's not going to be the fine details of, the nuance of how this one plugin has this mysterious kind of odd thing that it does. We're not going to focus on any of that. It's more about the high level concepts. And if we can focus on that, if you focus on that, you'll get a lot more out of this. We focus on stuff that will move the needle the most, I think. So that's what we're going to really do over the next 3 days. And if you have questions that are a little bit more detailed, just write them down. It's probably something that's Googleable, or you can ask a question in the community or in the chat here, and we can try to answer them. But it's important to write them down. And that's also important because everyone's at a different skill level as well. We have people who are going to be on here who are advanced. We're going to have people that are intermediate and total beginners. The intermediate and advanced people will pretty much understand most of what we're doing and then get some knowledge off of that. For beginners, it might sometimes feel over your head, but don't leave. You're still welcome here. And it's important, again, to just write down your thoughts, write down any questions you have. There are places you can ask these questions. Focus on the high level principles we're talking about, and then just ask lots of questions in the chat as well, and we'll try to get to them. But just get what you can out of it, and then keep coming back and keep growing. You'll overcome this stuff, and you can totally get past that beginner level. And we also know that everyone's in different listening environments, so you're all going to hear this a little bit differently. Zoom has some limitations depending on your kind of internet connection. So if you start having a bad internet connection or something, sometimes log back out or come back in. Sometimes that helps, or just find a better or closer spot to the Wi-Fi. And you should be getting pretty HD audio if you do that. We also know that you'll be listening on different sets of headphones and speakers, so some of that's not going to translate. We know that rooms and speakers and headphones are all different. I've even seen studio rooms that had plus or minus 12 dB of accuracy in certain frequencies. So we may not be hearing things totally the same, but we're going to use some tools that will help us kind of circumvent some of those limitations so we can all be more on the same page. We'll talk about what those are as we go forward. We also lean into our reverse learning method. At mastering.com, we invented something called the reverse engineer program. We actually teach artists and producers and engineers, but we start with the end in mind. So we actually start with mastering. And there's a reason we do that. We found it to be a powerful way to teach the stuff that most people skip over. The objective parts, the room and the ears and the deep understanding of tools and frequencies and dynamics, all that stuff that maybe isn't as fun. We're all creatives. We love to create. Sometimes we skip over the attention to those details. We found that what can really help people elevate isn't diving into that stuff that they're already kind of good at, but going and attacking head on the things that often get skipped over, the more technical left brain parts of things. And then take that information, and as it becomes more instinctual for people, it becomes this layer of ability and skill that can be translated into greater expression of the creative parts of us. And we have a lot of people that talk about how they can't get the sounds they have. They can't get the sounds that they have in their head to come out of the speakers correctly. So they have these great ideas. We're all creatives. We're all artists. We have these ideas that we want to express. But how many of you had the frustration where you have this idea, but you can't quite get it to sound like you hear it in your head? Well, a lot of times what that boils down to is just lack of a technical ability to translate that to come out of the speakers correctly. It's a lack of technical ability. And there's things that cause us to fall short of the technical acuity to sometimes translate that stuff. So, well, the long and short of it is we start with that for our students, so that can be a foundation for everything else. What happens is when those tools become instinctual, it unlocks the ability to translate everything in your head to come out of the speakers correctly. So you will see us talk about that over the next 3 days. We're going to talk about how everything kind of relates to the end in mind, to mastering. We're going to show you some mastering tools. I'm going to talk to you about a few things that has to do with mastering. You're going to learn to think like a mastering engineer thinks. We're going to include some of that in our demonstration. So that will be something probably unique to you. And so if you hear me doing that stuff, just kind of understand and know why I'm going there. It's very powerful stuff, and it will actually allow you to increase your ability in the mixing and even production and everything else you're doing. But without further ado, Jake, you want to show them the unmixed mix we want to fix?
I would absolutely love to. Thank you, Caleb.
Let's check it out.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You guys ready to check this out? Give me a 23,472 in the chat if you're ready to go. Woohoo! Nice. You guys are ready for that. I'm not seeing a lot of commas here today. We'll work on it. All right.
I like how someone just copied and pasted the chat. So as you go through this, I'm not sure what state this is in. I actually haven't heard this. But try to be thinking of improvements we could make, things that might need work in terms of the mix. And just take a mental note of those. You can write them down in chat if you want to. But just be thinking about that stuff, because that will be a starting place for how we approach this song.
So these tracks are how I received them, right? So I haven't done any gain staging. I haven't done any organizing or anything like that. So Sabrina, I'm giving you a heads up. This is probably not how you're used to hearing the song if they're all just tracks right at nominal here, right? Here we go. We're going to play a little bit, probably through the first chorus. And you guys just kind of be thinking of things that you would want to fix here, right? Things that you would want to tackle. Just making observations, all right? Let me know you can hear this, okay? Stand by. Good. One's in chat.
Broke again, swallowed your pride and you choked again. Losing your mind, make some sense. You put in the time, how could you still be this far behind? Never had enough, your life's been tough. You're living for the moment, don't you wanna get that ace been played? No one saves the day, take a hold, you gotta own it. Don't you wanna get that cash? Don't you wanna get that cash? Don't you wanna? No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that cash.
Nice. What are y'all
Really
hearing?
Cool track. I can't wait to get in here.
Yeah, that was my vocals. And also we just paused on Luke's verse, but Luke's verse was about to come up.
Come on, I
True
want to hear
duet.
Luke's verse. Come on, I want no.
You say I got it wrong. You say I need it. You say Someday I shall be the one to get it. Hell, I could have made that jump in, and I could have made that something. So don't you wanna get that cash?
Oh, oh, no use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new way.
That's my life right there.
Go and get that. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that. No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that. New day, riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that.
Nice.
Yep.
Good
Nice.
job. Nice song. Totally raw. You can tell
song.
like everything's out of balance but this is how you receive so many times. This is how you receive files to mix from a client. This is exactly how it's going to sound a million times over. You're going to get files like this. There will be a little bit out of balance. You'll get a vision of the song, and that's about it. And so we get to dive
Yeah.
into this great song. It's fun.
Yeah, awesome production
you.
too. Yeah, awesome production on this too. That's got a lot of like movement in it, especially that you know, the funk guitar, right? We've got some like dance vibes here, like just across the board. That funk guitar is just
That was Luke. Luke's like a really good, like everyone should go check out Luke also because he's a really good instrumentalist and just has like really great ideas. And this will probably be a fun one to mix because it's like a combination of male and female vocals. So you'll
Yep.
get to like experience a lot more in the vocal chain that you would if it was just like my vocals. And yeah, for everyone saying that they could produce this better, you'll have an opportunity. I'm sure I'll do like a remix contest. So we'll see if you're all talk or if you can walk the walk.
I love the call out. Bring it. No, I love that. And I think we're going to be able to enhance this a lot because again, it's not, there's no mix there yet, but it's a great starting place, but also will be a great demonstration, I think, because there's stuff to still work on. So awesome. This is perfect. Also, if you're here for different styles, like if you do different styles, you do hip hop or rock or something else, don't check out because mixing isn't different per genre, really. Like 99% of it is exactly the same. And you'll be able to get those techniques and skills that you need, regardless of whether you mix rock or anything else. And yeah, it's try to stay focused on the high level concepts as we go forward here. All right. That was the mix we wanted to fix. Now let me give you a few little high level concepts for you to focus on. And then we'll dive into the demonstration, but there's a few things I want to have you focus on. Let's switch gears to mixing at this point. This song. And I want to give you a little bit of a game plan over the next few days. Today, we're going to talk about session prep. So you can see like a couple comments were like, first things, you got to color code all these. It's like, yes, we do. We'll do that. Color code and organize and get everything prepped correctly, gain staging, all that kind of stuff. If there was editing to do, which I don't think there is, that would be something we would focus on. And then we're also going to focus today on initial volume balance. So there was a lot of work there to be done. Things were out of balance. We're going to focus on that. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the frequencies and dynamics and space for the instrumental. And then on day 3, it's all about vocals. We're going to do frequencies, dynamics, and space just for the vocal. So there's a lot we can clean up there. All those backing vocals, everything. We'll get those sitting perfectly in the mix, have great dynamics, and have great space. But of all the days, I will tell you, even though day one seems kind of like basic stuff, what we do today is the most important part of the 3 days in a way. It will at least affect things the most to how this turns out in the end. I don't think everyone fully understands always the power of volume itself, let alone great organization. We'll get into that. But just the power of volume is something I really want to speak to before Jake starts to mix here. Why are the initial parts of the process so powerful? Well, session prep is certainly powerful. Getting everything organized correctly enables you to be in a mixing mindset when it comes time to mix. If you've ever tried to cook a meal and you start and you chop your onion and you throw it in the pan and it starts to cook, and then you're like, oh, I need garlic, I need these other I called them instruments, these other foods, I need them in the pan, but you're like, I haven't chopped them yet. And then you start chopping that, and then the onion's burning in the pan. It's not a great way to approach cooking. You want everything prepped, so you want to have everything chopped and laid out and organized so that when it comes time to cook, you can just cook and focus on what cooking should be about, which is like flavor and texture and all that stuff, spice and salt and that kind of attention to detail. If you're having to run back and forth and things are burning, then you're not focusing on that stuff very well. And the same thing is true for mixing. If we get really organized up front, when we enter into that mixing mindset, there's no time where we have to stop the mixing flow state and go out of it to try to edit, or, and the same thing is true for editing, edit or prep something that wasn't prepped correctly to begin with. We want to stay in that mixing flow state, and good session prep and editing up front allows you to do that. But really what I want to focus on right now is talking about how volume is powerful. Volume's everything. It's really, really important. It's your most powerful tool. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. When we're mixing, we have to think about mixing in 3 dimensions of space. It's almost like this big sound stage in front of us that has depth. So things that are further away and closer, quieter things sound further away, louder things sound closer. We have things in the stereo field from left to right. That's our width. And then we also have height. Things can actually sound taller and shorter. Does anyone know what makes things sound taller and shorter? Anyone get it?
Someone got it.
What is
A couple
it?
people got it.
What is it? It's frequencies. Frequencies actually affect the tall and short of a mix. If you think about it, bass feels very much in the earth. We feel it in our gut. We feel it in our connection to our legs to the ground. We feel mid-range in our chest. We often think of it as a warm blanket. The mids are very warm. We think of that as like the center of us. We experience them viscerally this way. And highs, we talk about head voice. We talk about air. We talk about things that are above us. Highs feel very tall. And so utilize frequencies in a balanced way actually can cause the mix to sound huge and tall up into space. The listener will actually experience it that way, and that's through the use of frequencies. And gain and volume affect all of these things the most. It's your most powerful tool for balancing frequencies. It's not EQ, it's actually volume and gain. Let's talk about what that means. Before you ever apply an EQ, you're thinking more broad, right? Because every instrument that we have in the mix has an innate quality to it. Some are higher, some are more mid-range, some are lower into the ground. Certainly we think of bass as being lower, things like shakers and tambourines are higher. And so we're making choices about where all of that sits. Before we ever even think of EQ, we're thinking of where that sits just with our gain and volume faders. So we could almost turn that on its side and like an EQ would be. We're placing things in the mix to create balance. You think of these volume faders as allowing you to create balance in the mids, balance in the low end, balance in the high end, all done before we ever apply an EQ. That's a valuable concept. it's also your most powerful tool for creating width. So there's a reason why there's a pan knob on the volume fader, because pan is just volume. It's just changing the volume from one side to the other. It's essentially the same thing. So we're creating width in a mix first, not by using stereo widening tools or sample delays or any of that type of stuff. We're picking where stuff should go in the width of our mix with volume. We place it there. And our goal there is to have things have their own identity, right? You want things not overlapping with each other. You want things not masking each other. So you're utilizing the width spectrum to have things have their own identity. It's almost like if you're taking a picture of a scene, the photographer will say, I want everyone to see their head, so stand in a window. We're doing that with audio. We want everything to have its own space and have separation from the rest of the group. So we use panning for that. And then certainly gain and volume is our most powerful tool for creating depth. That's the easiest one for most people to understand. Things that are quieter sound further away. Things that are louder sound closer. And you'd think, well, duh, right? But I can't tell you how many mixes I hear where everything sounds distant or everything sounds right in your face. And there's no depth at all. Things are overcompressed or something like that. And even less about compression. I think there's this natural tendency when you're mixing to just start creeping faders up. Like you start focusing on one of the instruments and you start creeping it up, and then you focus on another instrument and you're creeping it up. And then by the time you're done, you've crept everything up to the point where it's all forward, and the song then lacks depth. So we really have to focus on all of these dimensions of space, not just creating a tall mix and a wide mix, but creating a mix that has depth. And the first line of our defense for doing that is really placing things with our volume faders in the correct position with gain and volume. Gain is our most powerful tool. It's even our most powerful tool for finessing dynamics. You think of compressors as the thing that will affect dynamics the most. We'll show you on day 3 in particular that we use gain and volume to help a vocal sit perfectly in the mix. Before we ever apply an EQ or compressor or anything like that, we're making choices about how that vocal will sit in the mix. We do that primarily on things that are really important in a mix. You don't have time to do this on everything, and this will make more sense later. But a really important part of a mix, like a vocal, it's not enough to just set compressors on it and let them make the choices for you. We have to learn to work with a lot more intention. We have to tell a story with that vocal. So before we ever do anything with compression at all, we should be using gain and volume automation tools to bring parts down that are sticking out, to bring ends and tails of phrases up, to have them have more intimacy, things like that, choices that humans should be making and not little machines. We'll talk a little bit more about that on day 3, but keep that in mind. It's not just frequencies and width and depth that volume affects. It's actually dynamics too. It's your greatest line of defense against all of these things. Before you use EQ and compression, you should be thinking about the power of volume. And Jake's going to give a great demonstration about that today as we go forward, the power of volume. So our goal for today, we're not going to use any plugins. We're only going to use volume and gain.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Jake. No plugins. And this is how we teach our students to do it. Before they ever apply EQ and compression, we teach them the power of this. And our students can get to the point where I think a mix sounds like 80% done before they ever even use those tools. And there's an important mindset that comes with this. It's compartmentalizing a process in a really beautiful way. As you go through and just using volume to create your mix, you're being very intentional about how you do things within 3 dimensions of space. But you're also being intentional about how you use EQ and compression later. And this is a mistake I see so many people make. They just come into a mix session and start throwing EQs and compressors on things without as much direction as they need. You'll find as you go through a mix with volume only that you know very well by the time you're done what stuff couldn't be solved with just volume and gain. You'll make notes of this to yourself. Jake, you'll see Jake today make little notes to himself. What stuff couldn't be solved today with just volume? That means when he starts tomorrow and the next day, there's no guessing. There's no like, where should I start? It's like, these are the problems I couldn't solve with volume. this is what I need to solve. This is what I need to enhance. And it really gives you a ton more intention in that part of the process. So it's a really great way to approach this mentally, if nothing else. Demo time. Jake, do you want to show them what's what on this mix?
Sweet. Yeah, you guys ready? You guys ready to go? 302,499. If you're ready to move on. Wow. I saw some answers just say yes. I saw some people type in 99. I saw some people type the word numbers, literally the word numbers. All right, fine. We'll get going. See
I'll
what
be
we
right
got.
back. I'm going to go grab a drink.
Yep. All right, guys. You seen the DAW? Seeing this okay? One's in chat. Yeah. See it? Okay, cool. So as Caleb was teaching, I just quickly kind of organized the session the way that I would typically organize a session. I'll walk you through that first. Here, I'll actually put the little notes in here. This is what we're going to do. Organization / walkthrough. And then we're going to do some gain staging. And we're going to do a volume only balance. Number 1, organization and walkthrough. This is the lay of the land, guys. Pretty straightforward. I take all the drums, I send them to their own bus. I take all the perk and effects, perk as in percussion and effects, send them to their own bus. I take all the bass, I send all of those bass tracks to their own bus. Same with guitars, got a guitar bus, keys, synths, things like that. Basically anything that's not any of this stuff, and vocals sent to their own bus. And then vocals all sent to their own bus. All right. So what is this? How many tracks is this, Sabrina? 103?
Yeah, we did a lot of stuff.
103. So this is the power, though, of organization, right?
Yeah.
We can
And when-
now see 103 tracks as 6 groups. Starts to become a little bit easier to wrap your mind around, right? I'm sorry, you were gonna say something. Steamrolled you.
I just wanted to say that when we produced this, it looked very similar to this. Like we used folders, and typically pop songs have a lot going on. So, and a lot of those are like so many vocals, to be honest. It's not as many of the other ones as it looks like, because we have so many moving sections. So that we use folders too. That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, this is pretty typical, when you're working with like pop music and more modern tracks that are kind of a little bit more polished like this, right? It's like you see these stacks of vocals, and that can come in like this kind of form. Like it's a common thing, right? We just get a billion vocals. So I'm excited to dig in there. That's day 3 stuff, though. All of that makes sense, guys? Any quick questions before we move into gain staging? Pretty straightforward. I just color code them this way because this is the way I've always done it. Just kind of decided one day and maintain the consistency so I don't confuse myself. Can we steal your colors? Absolutely. Feel free. Especially if you're inside of the inside of any of our programs, then I won't have any trouble locating your instruments when I look at your DAW. Why aren't drums and percussion in the same folder? I don't know. I just felt like come up today. you know. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like that you're also put a lot of like the effects. You put the effects with the percussion, which would make sense because we used a lot of that kind of stuff as like an effects. So maybe that's why you gravitated towards that for this song.
I usually kind of like just think about like what's the drum sound? You know, what's the drum kit? If there was a standard drum kit instrumentation, right? Kick, snare, cymbals, toms, shells and cymbals, basically. And I kind of like to think, maybe that's because I have a rock background, right? So I like to think of the kit as kind of its own entity and its own thing. And then anything on top of that is kind of, I put it over here, different category for me, right? But there's no right or wrong way here. I think that's the important takeaway. You just kind of, you're going to gather preferences as you watch different engineers and you talk to different people. Everybody's kind of got their own kind of way of doing things. If that makes sense. Make sense, guys? What if you receive drum stems that are not separated? If they sound awesome, then I don't care. If they need some work and I need to have like control, then I'll just call the producer or the artist and say, hey, can you break these out for me? Need to have that control. All right. Pretty straightforward. Are all the raw tracks stereo? Yes. And it looks like there's panning baked in too. Is that right, Sabrina? Some of this stuff, like here, got some.
Yeah, I meant to send them to you without that, but
Oh,
my
good.
bad.
I actually, you know what? I actually prefer that.
Okay.
Right? I prefer panning to be baked in, just because it saves the time. It's like, hey, this is your vision. You did that for a very specific reason. Let's stick with it. Let's go with it, and we can always kind of pan things differently if we need to as we go through. But I like to have that as a starting point. It kind of gives me your vision, right? Cool. Yeah, we've got Luke. Okay. Yeah, so there's some panning baked in. Cool. Any other questions there, guys, before we move on? Jake, what's your opinion on colors? I like them.
They're beautiful.
Do we have to trim the audio files where they begin and end? No, that's, if there's noise and stuff like that, but, hopefully you've taken care of that in editing.
Occasionally I'll find a track that has some noise in it. Just cut it out. Most of the time it's just dead.
Yeah,
Dead region. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't typically go through and do that. It's just, it takes too much time. I really like to pay attention to just what's going on in context.
So I didn't record vocals in stereo. I recorded them in mono, but they just got bounced out this way.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
print in stereo.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, because you have to keep in mind, like, I'm working with Luke. He's in the UK. I'm here. We've been passing back and forth like Logic projects. So this wasn't made in like a professional studio. Like I recorded the vocals like literally right here, how you see me. And he recorded the vocals, which is really good for you to work with because sometimes a lot of times people are, especially if you're working with independent artists, they're going to be recording in like more casual settings. So everyone can like, lose their marbles over it being stereo mono, but ultimately it's all good, right?
It
According to
doesn't
Jake.
matter. It just doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at all.
It might be showing on it might be on a stereo channel, but if the right speaker is pumping out the same exact signal as the left speaker, it's effectively mono. It doesn't.
Can you demonstrate how you put it into a Summings track? Because a lot of people are freaking out, or not freaking out, or confused how to do that. Like,
Nice catch. Nice catch. For me, I don't even know. I just I have the key commands kind of built in.
So you just select the tracks and then you right click on it and then you can do like group. You
Or
can
if you
even do
don't know
a
the
summing stack within a summing stack. Did you know that?
Got you. Yeah, I'll probably do that a few times with the vocals, the backing vocals. If I want to group some of that stuff, we'll do some
If you just
nesting.
select this law and when you right click on it, just so they can see, you can put it. You just do create track stack, and then you have the option to do a folder track or a summing stack.
Yep.
So summing stack is better, probably, because a folder is just quite literally just like a folder. But a
I
summing
never
stack,
use them.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really understand the point of them, but I guess if you need to like organize stuff, maybe that you don't want to put plugins on, maybe it's like all the processing is already done, and you just kind of like want to organize.
Yeah, the summing stack will allow you to put plugins on, you know, the aux channel or the bust channel, as opposed to the folder, which is just a blank. Doesn't allow you to do that. Just
And also, yeah, I didn't mean to say that it was a dumb question. It certainly wasn't a dumb question. I didn't mean it that way. If you mean
Yeah, no dumb questions.
there is no dumb questions.
archives. T. Clark uses them for archives. Get it? I got it.
I
Yeah.
will
Coming.
also, I just kind of wanted to add know your key commands, right? So the faster you can like move around your DAW, the better, the more time you save. Just kind of becomes that's why Sabrina asked me, and I'm just like, I don't know, because my it's like breathing for me. So the key command is I just automatically hit the key. It's shift command D. That's it. Shift command D.
And if you use a different DAW, it's an easy to look up.
Yeah, that's Googleable, YouTubeable. Take notes. Look some things up later. Let's move on, guys. Let's get into gain staging. The way I do this is very, very simple, very straightforward. You know, my goal here is to get all the tracks, the input of the signal at the top of the channel coming in at no higher than minus 10 decibels, right? Minus 10 decibels peaking. The reason I do this is, can anybody guess? I already started typing it out. Somebody's
Caroline
gonna.
Caroline says gain staging takes me so long. Well, let us show you a shortcut then.
You're gonna love this. Headroom. You all got it. Headroom. That's right. You just do this for headroom. So that when we're bringing in our volumes, you know, I find that if I set every single channel, the gain, the audio coming into that channel at minus 10 decibels peaking, then as I kind of go through and balance out all these volume levels, I don't typically have to worry about overloading the stereo out or the master or clipping the master or dealing with any of that gross distortion or anything like that. I could just kind of put it out of my mind and rest easy and just kind of go through the process nice and smoothly. So what you could do is you can go and click on every single one of these tracks, solo them. Looks like that kick is already peaking at about minus 10. Fine. This one here. Right, that's peaking at minus 5. So manually, if you wanted to do this manually, you can bring that gain down until it says minus 10, right? That's the long way. Here's the short version. So what I prefer to do, just save a ton of time here. Select all the tracks. Go to functions. Normalize region gain. Individual regions peaking no higher than minus 10 decibels and apply. And then my computer's gonna show me a spinning beach ball. And we're just gonna wait. We can chit chat if you want. What's everybody having for dinner? It's Tuesday. You having tacos?
Caroline's like, wow, are you kidding me? Think of all that time, Caroline, of individually gaining each track down.
And this is just called normalizing. Just normalize the region gain, normalizing the audio files. And you can do this in, I think it's really easy to do in every single DAW except for Ableton. I think Ableton, there's like some weird workaround that you have to do. But you guys should have noticed. Take a look at these waveforms now. Notice anything different? They're all the same size, right? 103 tracks. Now, every single one is peaking no higher than -10. I've hit my target. Make sense? You guys following? So I'll just quickly talk through it again. You select all the tracks and you normalize them so that they're peaking no higher than -10 decibels.
This is non-destructive. It's just gaining things up and down. You're normalizing each region to peak no higher than -10.
So now, if I were to just play through here,
Oh,
you'll see
no audio, Jake.
that's intentional.
Oh,
You'll
okay.
see, just taking a look at the meters. Well, except for the buses, right? Buses aren't going to follow that. Only the audio that comes in. So ignore the buses, but the audio that comes in on every single track, it's not going to peak any higher than -10. We've got plenty of headroom, about 10 decibels of headroom on everything, right? Nothing's clipping.
Some of those needed to be cleared, but yeah, they're only going to -10.
We're good. Right? Make sense?
Yeah, so much faster, right? That's a nice little time saver.
Is there a hotkey to clear the peaks, like the readings on your channels? I don't know. Sides is Sabrina's the logic expert, the resident logic expert. Is there anything like that?
I don't know. I'd have to look into it more. I always like steer away from like the tricks for like guitar and like mixing and mastering because I don't really do that much.
Yeah.
So I don't know this as much as like the like composition ones, but I can look into it. So what
Yeah,
is
just
it? To like quickly do the normalizing?
Yeah, just clearing the display of the channel
Oh, I think you can just
without
like
clicking on it.
Oh, without clicking on it.
Like if you wanted to do them in bulk, like all of them,
Oh, I think you can just like highlight all the tracks.
and click on one.
I know that they'll just reset if you click on the thing, but just curious if there's a shortcut
You
key.
can highlight all of them, you can, and then you can also like you can try if that works.
Paul says click on one and press Alt at the same time.
I mean, it works either way, whether I hold Alt or not. But anyway. Curious. Not sure about that one, guys.
People want to see the normalized one more time.
Yeah. Check it out. Command A. And this is how it works in Logic, guys. For other DAWs, you'll just have to Google it. You'll just have to Google, Cubase normalize or FL Studio normalize, things like that. But in Logic, this is how it works. You select all the tracks, go to function, normalize region gain. And then the settings are individual regions. The algorithm, you want to choose peaking. And then you just tell it your target level. Type in -10 decibels and then hit apply. Make sense? Yeah, Reaper, Control Shift N in Reaper. Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
If you scroll up, Berlin, oh, she just did it again. She just dropped a tutorial for doing it in Ableton. So if you're in Ableton, click that. And it's going to take you to our school group. So if you're not in there, just sign up. It's free. It's nothing.
Does this include vocals and harmonies? Everything.
Christopher,
Everything.
why would you want to do that, Christopher? Just curious. It would be, but I was just curious why you would. Sweet. Normalized. Man,
Normalized.
I used to do that the long way. I'll admit it. I used to do that the long way for a long time.
I used to do it the long way.
The replay for this will be available later, so if you missed it, you can always go back and watch some of this stuff. No worries. It'll be available at the courses.mastering.com. We'll post the replay a few hours after this ends, as soon as I
So,
get done processing it.
There's no MIDI because I bounced everything to audio when I sent it to Jake. I don't think the normalize will work with MIDI, right, Jake?
No.
No. However, you should never mix with MIDI anyway. You don't want to mix in your production sessions. You need to do it in a separate session. That's the way professionals are doing it. There's reasons for it. A lot of it's mindset, but also just it's better to work with audio waveforms for everything. So that's just part of kind of separating the processes out.
Yeah, and if you're using a laptop, you're gonna really struggle with some of those like big instruments, and then it's gonna get really hard on your computer to keep adding more processing.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be like trying to walk through mud. Should we bounce all our MIDI before mixing? Yeah, I would. Yep, I would convert everything to audio. It is. It's just going to be easier on your CPU, and it's also healthier for your mind in terms of just committing to sounds. How many times have we tried to mix a session with MIDI programming and like all your VSTs open, and now all of a sudden you hear something while you're mixing and you revert back into production mode. You're like, oh, I could just change this note here or there. Right? It's a commitment thing.
Yeah. Another reason I wouldn't want to do that is because like if you by accidentally like change something in like your synthesizer or your MIDI note and you're working with like we are 100 tracks, then you're gonna not know what happened. And once you find something you like, you can just print it to audio. Audio is like a lot easier to work with in general, I think, after you've already like finished composition. So that's another reason. And I also
Yeah.
know like producers that have like 3 separate projects, like one for composing, one for recording vocals, well, actually 4, one for mixing, and then one for mastering. So they do like everything in 4 projects.
Yep.
Do you do that, Jake?
Yep.
Even vocals?
Vocals in a separate session. Yeah. Yeah. I bounce instruments down because the editing process.
Yeah. For me, it's
It's
just
crazy.
easier for me to see. Like I get very overwhelmed if it's like too much going on with
Yeah.
like with comping and everything.
Mhm.
So
I'll do drums too.
in
Just
a
do
different
like just drums alone and then bounce a stereo drum file. Not even do like the individual drums in the main mix. Just be like, okay, this drum sound is great. I've got it good. And then I'll just work with the stereo file. It's not typical, but I do it. Saves time.
That's a good question. Somebody asked, do you bounce your effects with your MIDI? I
Yeah.
do. Because like I usually pick the effects that I want already.
Yeah, it's integral to the sound. If it's a sound design thing and it's like, hey, this synth just isn't going to sound the same without this luscious wet reverb on it. Like this is obviously the texture of and the intentionality behind the sound. Then yeah, give me that. Give me that with the synth. You don't have to save that kind of stuff. Get it like my mindset is produce it to sound mixed, right? So like make all those decisions in your production, get 80% of the way there, knowing that when you bring it into mix, you're being really nice to yourself and you've only got another 20% to go.
Yeah. Most of that is sound design stuff. Now there are occasions where you've like bust a whole bunch of different things to a reverb, and you can bounce that and send it to mix too, but oftentimes they're going to change that on their end, like, or even vocals, maybe sometimes keep those more dry unless it's like integral to the part. So there are times to not bounce it in, but to alleviate that, when I used to send stuff to mix and mastering before I knew how, I would just send a wet and a dry version of everything. It only takes like another minute in Logic to do it, because I'll just bounce everything as wet, and then I'll change the parameters. Everything's already still selected, and then I'll just switch it to dry, and I'll put those in separate folders and just send both. And when I receive that from clients, I'll just start with the wet, pretty much. Just start with what they kind of had in mind. And then if there's any problems, I'll just go into the dry folder and bring that one track in that I need. And kind of that's the workflow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
Like start with the wet stuff. You know, if there's any kind of like non-negotiable, I shouldn't say non-negotiable, but kind of like time-based effects baked into things. I'll usually start with those, and then if I need that additional control, then I'll ask for the dries, or I'll pull in a dry. But I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't necessarily just start with the dry, because it could just take extra time to get it to where it needs to be. I'm always thinking of time and efficiency, right? And if it's already there, if I already got the wet effects on it and it sounds great in the mix, who am I to screw that up? I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole unless I need to. That's the idea. Anyway, makes sense.
Yep. Raya, yes, we're using IK Multimedia. By the way, IK Multimedia is the sponsor for this Fix the Mix.
And their stuff is awesome. I've been using it.
We're not going to use their plugins today, but I'll talk about them a little bit tomorrow. They just made it so it's free for y'all, and we're going to use their plugins. We've done it with a whole bunch of different people. It's a nice challenge for us to just do stuff with different plugins. We've even done it with just the DAW plugins, DAW and free stuff. It doesn't matter. Just get good at your tools.
Cool. All right, let's move on. Volume only balance. Here we go. The fun stuff. Guys ready to get into this? Ones in chat, if you're ready to go. Ones? Okay, great. But first, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Gotcha. For real, I gotta run. I gotta refill this coffee. Quick bio break. Everybody stand up, stretch, do some jumping jacks. We'll be back here in about 5. I don't know if you guys want to stick around to answer questions.
I'm happy to.
Cool. I'm gonna bring up my timer, my favorite timer. The Goog. We got.
Jesus, this is slow. Well, just trying to help everyone, Steven. You'll get more stuff out of it if you stick around.
I record all my vocals dry. I have like reverb on in my ear because I use the Universal Audio Apollo Twin. So in the console, I have like a reverb on, and then after that, I don't print the reverb. I just have it on my ear. So I'm trying to read the questions. Why individual regions instead of individual tracks?
It probably doesn't matter in that case. Just in case there were multiple regions on one track, I think it would be the same.
So practical ways to bounce a large project in MIDI to audio. Well, if we're using Logic, I would just like highlight everything and then do Command E to export, and then you export it in a folder. And then you can literally just open up a new project or create a project alternative in Logic, and then just drag everything in. Before you export, you want to make sure everything's labeled correctly, so it'll be easy for you to organize. And you can also label your tracks with like a track number. Like you can move Logic, the export thing around where you like can set up a special name so it can do the track number. So when you drag it into Logic, it will do it like in order, and it'll be easier for you to organize. Yeah, I use that. Somebody said Apollo Lexicon 224. Exactly. I use the lexicon as my reverb. Um,
It's fancy.
I know.
Love the lexicon stuff.
Um,
So why
what do
should we
you think?
render?
Oh,
Why should we render each track to audio before mixing? I think I answered that. It's just a mindset thing. You don't want to have to work with MIDI. You don't want to be tempted to go back into the production mindset. It's also just better to have everything in audio for some of the like mass commands that you do, like we just did with normalizing. That wouldn't affect MIDI. For me, it's really a lot about the process, though. I want to commit. There's some power in limitation and committing to the next part of the process. So if I'm in a production session and I'm mixing and I get distracted and go back to a production thing, well, I've taken myself out of mixing workflow. So commit, like, get your production done and then commit to it and then go into mixing and do your thing.
and then also somebody asked, and I think this is a good question, is reverb best applied manually? So there's lots of ways to apply reverb, but I think one time, like people might not realize this, but a lot of times on your synthesizer, they have reverb, especially if you're using presets or something, there might be reverb baked in there. So if you don't want that, if you like a sound, but you don't want that reverb, you just have to make sure you like go into your synthesizer and disable it or turn it off or turn it down. But I think that's kind of like a sneaky thing. That was sneaky for me in the beginning where I was like, what is this sound coming from? Or like a delay, a very heavy delay. And I'm like, where is this? I don't even know where this is. And it might be like in your actual virtual instrument inside the synthesizer. So check that. Do you have anything to add, Caleb?
Nope. Nope.
How can I stay motivated? Well, you're your own boss. I'm very motivated by goals. So I set like pretty hard goals for myself and then I just stick at them. I mean, if you were working a sales job for somebody else, that's like the first thing they would do. They would give you a bunch of goals, a bunch of tasks that you would have to do. So just treat yourself like a boss would treat you. That helps me. How about you, Caleb? How do you stay motivated?
Um, that's a really cool question. It's hard. I mean, especially as you make sometimes this more of a career and less of a hobby. I think hobbies can just stay fun, but if you want to do this professionally, first you have to make sure you're truly passionate about it. I think we can only follow what we're really passionate about in life, and you will have hard times. So I think there's always it's always important to think about self evolution and innovation to keep things moving for you. It's never okay to just stay the same. You have to find a new challenge to push yourself up, and that reinvigorates, I think, uh, along with just mindsets of perseverance and all that kind of stuff. But really, for me, it's been about evolving and innovation and stuff like that. And we'll even see, like, for example, really advanced guys and girls come into our program. Got people that have worked with Grammy winners, people that have worked with A-list artists and stuff like that. And it's like there's stuff they can learn from us for sure, but it's like you could just ride on your laurels. You're at the pinnacle of your career. Why are you deciding to do this now? And they just say, I found that if I ever stand still, I'm moving backwards. Like life in my trajectory is like an escalator that you're trying to walk up that's going down. And if you stand still, you're going backwards. So they have to keep learning and they have to keep pushing themselves through innovation and evolution to stay kind of fresh with everything.
And should we keep going with some questions or
Let's
stay
jump
tuned?
back in. We got a lot to cover here today, guys. So hold on to them. We'll do another Q&A at the end. Volume balance time. Let's dig in. Thanks for waiting for me, guys. So before we get balancing here, what I like to do is just grab all the tracks, bring them all down. From here, I'll usually choose one or two kind of main elements just to bring up and kind of balance. And typically for me, those main elements are like anchor. I call them anchor elements, right? These are the more important pieces of the track, maybe some driving elements. For this kind of track, that's like a kick, snare, vocal, right? This is very vocal heavy. It's pop and dance, right? Pop and dance. So pop, it's vocal forward, dance, usually kick forward and very rhythmic, right? So I'm going to start with those things and then we'll bring everything else in. Start the kick. So we got. You guys hear this all right? Yeah, ones? Good. Awesome.
This is a really great workflow, everybody.
Well, what do we got here? Just keeping that kick right up at 0. And I'm just going to grab this section where Sabrina's singing. We're going to bring that in.
How could you still be this far?
I'm going to adjust my listening level here on my side.
Make some sense. You put in the time. How could you still be this far behind? Never had enough. Your life's been tough. You're living for the moment. Don't you wanna get that ace been played? No one saves the day. Take
Cool. Let's get that snare in there.
make some sense. You put in the time. How could you still be?
Cool. Love it. Very clean recording. Good job on this. Did you
Yeah,
use the 7B?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, the vocals are tuned, and they should be at this point in the process. There's a difference between editing and mixing. All the editing, time aligning, tuning, all that stuff should be done generally in production. But if not, then by an editor, or they should pay you to do it separately. Editing
I
is
charge
not
a lot. I charge a lot for editing, for vocal editing.
Yeah, you should. It takes forever.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the AI vocal tuning. That works really well. I don't care what anyone says. I'm ready for it.
We're almost there. Hold on a little longer.
I think for me, it's like because I'm a singer first, it's just kind of like I don't want to stare at my flaws like right in the face for
Your own
hours.
stuff. Yeah.
Like I
get
didn't hear it the first time, and I'm like, and now I can't hear it again, or I overtune it. And I'm just, it's like your own worst enemy in the mirror over and over again. So sometimes
I don't think
Just-
singers should probably be doing their own vocal anyway.
I used to just drench all of my stuff in reverb. It was just drenched. I was like, hide that.
There was
Hide that.
we're able to tune vocals, and sometimes I'm just like, it's good enough.
Good. Realistic.
Well, let's keep bringing some stuff in here. I want to focus next on just all the rhythmic elements, the elements that really kind of create that choo-choo train effect and move the song along, kind of drive the song forward. So I'm gonna kind of move into some more percussion.
Life's been tough. You're living for the moment. Don't you wanna get that ace been played? No one, don't you wanna get that ace been played? No one saves the day. Take a hold. You.
That's the one I was looking for. I knew there was a topper in there.
How could you still be this far behind? Never had enough. Your life's been tough. You're living for the moment. Don't you wanna get a new wave? Only you can get up and go and get that cash. Only you can get up and go and get
Oh, cool little atmosphere in there.
that new. Only
Yeah, that's sweet. That's cool. From here, you know what? Now that we got just kind of like basic levels here,
only you can get
I'm like this. This is like the essence. This is the heartbeat, right?
Get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that.
I'm just thinking to myself, like, what is this? What does this sound like? What's this feel like? Is this making my head bob? Right?
No use telling me that you want to.
I'm gonna kind of jump around a little bit here.
Up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that. Call me when you can cash out.
I keep forgetting what that is.
Shout, I wanna run away with you.
Hey, Jake.
Yeah.
I'm saying mic is loud compared to the song. So why don't we turn the song up and everyone can adjust accordingly.
Cool. We're gonna do another audio check here.
Telling me that you want to.
Is that better?
Only you can get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on the
Cool. So from this point, I'm going to be mixing this kind of section by section. I'm going to start right at the beginning of the song. I don't typically like to start with the chorus. I like to start from the top and kind of move all the way through. And what I found is what it does for me is it forces me to kind of listen to the song like a listener would, right? Chronologically, and pay attention to transitions when instruments are exiting and entering the arrangement. Right. And the impact of each section and contrast between sections. So I'm going to start at the top and let's get cooking here. Okay, there's our beginning sound. What else do we have here? So the first sounds that we hear, it's important to get those at the right volume because when the instrumentation slams in, we don't want to have the listener turn up their volume knob or have to turn down their volume knob. Right? Kind of want to make sure that there's a nice kind of smooth kind of transition there.
broke again. Swallowed your pride and you choked again. Losing your mind, make it make some sense. You put in the time, how could you still?
Right, so paying attention to how everything kind of comes into the arrangement. Let's get some of these other effects in here.
Broke again.
I love that reverse stomp. Is that what that is? It's cool.
Broke again.
Hear a lot of like those reverse kicks and stuff like that in like EDM, right? The stomp. I haven't heard a reverse stomp yet though. That's pretty cool.
Broke again. Swallow.
And we got one more Foley part, it looks like.
Broke again.
Cash register. Yeah. Sweet. Just getting a lay of the land here.
Sean says, I see how this is 80% of the work already. Yes, that's right.
Absolutely.
And you'll see the stuff that's left over, but it's and you're just so dialed into what that 20% is instead of feeling super lost in everything. It's really for us that this process is very powerful.
Broke again.
Cool. And we're just gonna mark some of this stuff. Just call it first one.
Broke again. Swallowed your pride and you choked again. Losing your mind, make it make some sense.
You know, I'm thinking kind of like a little bit further in the background, let's clap.
Broke again. Swallowed swallowed your pride.
No, you got a couple people in the room with you. Fine.
And you choked again. Losing your mind, make some sense.
Okay, and then we got kind of the B part of the verse.
Make some sense. You put in the time. How could you still be this?
All right, and we got a few little nuggets in here that we want to catch.
Choked again.
Check this out. Right? Nice little nugget.
Choked again. Losing your mind, make pride in you. Choked again.
Cool.
Losing your mind, make some sense.
I really kind of want that like sucking, like suction-y kind of thing to come out.
Make some
Whoop. Right?
make some sense. You put in the time.
And let's get some of these backing vocals in there.
Pride in you. Choked again.
Again.
Choked again. Choked again.
Where do we want those?
Broke again. Swallowed your pride and you choked again. Losing your mind, make some sense. It makes
I'm gonna toss those hard left and right.
choked again. Losing your mind, make some sense. You put in the time. How could you still make some sense? You put in the time again. Losing your mind, make some sense. You put in the time. How could you still be this far?
Sabrina, you thinking more kind of like forward or vocals set back? Doubles.
Well, in that section, I would say like more back, but definitely like the bridge when like I'm layering vocals. I want it to sound like pretty equal with each other.
Yeah, where it's like a feature. Okay. Yep, makes sense. Cool. Let's do it. So that sounds good. We've also got some reverse, looks like some delays in here. Some throws.
Broke again. Swallowed your pride and you choked again. Losing, broke again. Swallowed your pride.
What is this?
Broke again. Swallowed your pride and you choked again. Losing your mind.
Gotcha. This is a key for delay. It's a delay key. Got it. We can apply that later.
Your mind, make some sense. You put in the time. How could you still be this far
Gotcha. Okay. Yep.
behind? Never had enough.
Gotcha. Okay, so these are delays and like aux tracks and things like that, but the plugins were removed from the aux tracks. So what this is telling me is that the intention here was to have a throw delay in this section, which we'll get to. We'll get to all that. And then a short reverb on the vocal. So here's a track for a short reverb, and then a tape delay here, right? But this is just the signal that was being sent into the aux channels without the processing on them. So for me, I'm thinking once I get to spatial processing, which we'll take a look at on day 3, right, on Thursday, I will just add those plugins. You know, I'll add a tape delay to this. I'll add a short reverb to this. I'll add a delay to this. And then we'll kind of dial those things in even further. For now, we're just going to keep them like that. And what I'll do is just say, you know, add delay on the tracks, right? I'm not going down the rabbit hole on these. Short verb, you know, add a short verb. Add tape delay. And that's going to be a throw. Sweet. Easy enough. How are we doing in this section? Good. We have everything in. I think so. We're going to continue to move.
Broke
cook, baby.
again. Swallowed your pride and you choked again. Losing your mind, make it make some sense. You put in the time. How could you still be this far behind? Never.
I am just putting a note in here to maybe make that a little bit brighter.
Never had enough. Your life's been tough.
And
Behind, never.
we've got a chorus or lift.
I never had enough.
Love that. That tom. Boom.
I never had enough. Your life's been tough.
And I'm guessing we're gonna get some instruments in here. There we go.
Far behind, never had enough. Your life's been tough. Don't you wanna?
Okay. Probably going to add some width to that.
Your life's been tough. You're living for the moment. Don't you wanna get that ace been played?
Get some of these pianos in.
Behind, never had enough. Your life's been tough. You're living for the moment. Don't you wanna get that ace been played? No one saves the day. Take a
Starting to come together.
far behind, never had enough. Your life's been tough. You're living for the moment. Don't you wanna get that ace been played? No one
little Juno.
saves the day. Take a hold, you gotta own it. Don't you wanna get the cash?
I like it very much.
Had enough. Your life's been tough. You're living for the moment.
Here are some Lukes.
Don't you wanna get?
Don't you wanna get?
Don't you wanna get?
Don't you wanna get that ace been played? No one say.
And then we got a double in there.
Don't you
Wanna get?
It is an octave.
Don't you wanna get that ace been played?
Cool.
Don't you wanna get that ace been played? No one saves the day.
Yeah, might widen those up a little bit too. We'll see. We'll get to that.
Don't you wanna get that?
And let's get some width on those.
Don't you wanna get that
Boom.
sense?
So are you guys starting to see the benefit in just kind of like working through the song section by section here and bringing in all these elements? We're experiencing the song. We're doing it in a little bit more of a repetitive way, right? But we're experiencing the song and mixing the song and building the song in the same way that we will experience it as a listener, right?
Be this far behind, never had enough. Your life's been tough. You're living for the moment. Don't you wanna get that ace been played?
And let's bring that higher. Don't you want to get that down a little bit?
Don't you wanna get?
You know what? I am going to write a note in there to widen that up. We're going to widen that one up, but we're going to keep the octave in the center.
Don't you wanna get that ace been played? No one saves the day. Take a hold, you gotta own it. Don't you wanna get the cash?
Okay, tell me about these.
Don't you wanna get that?
Okay, cool.
Cash.
Nice. Is that everything in that lift? Let's take a look. The energy is great. Good job on this. Production is awesome. Oh, of course.
I never had enough. Your life's been tough.
There it is.
Living for the moment.
Wait.
Don't you wanna get that ace been played? No
Man, this make me want to get back into pop mixing.
Hey, stay in your lane.
Don't you wanna
Hey, man.
Oh, I'm just not. Yeah, are you starting to see the stank face here?
Keep doing your metalhead stuff.
I'm like, oh man, listen to that.
Don't you wanna
Pop for
get
me.
the cash? Don't you wanna get the cash?
Nice little wide little Reese here.
The cash. Don't you wanna get the cash? Don't
do.
you wanna
I do want to get that cash. All
I
right,
so want to get that cash.
feeling good. This song's making me feel real good.
get the cash?
Very positive, very good vibes here. All right. I know that's amazing.
Get the
Music is fun. All right. Next crowd.
Get the cash. Don't you wanna get the cash? Don't you
I'm assuming like a little bit more subdued, kind of like more like underlying, like in the background, this crowd kind of thing here. Is that right, Sabrina? I can't hear you. I don't know
Oh,
if
sorry. Yeah, like that's like super in the back. Like you wouldn't even really.
Yep,
Yeah.
felt more than heard. Yep, got it.
get the cash? Don't you wanna get the cash? Don't you wanna
How you doing? How's that sound in the headphones there, Caleb?
Sounded great.
get the
Pay attention to that crowd. How about the crowd?
get the cash? Don't you wanna get the cash? Don't
Barely
you
audible.
wanna
There should be something, I know there's something there. I can sense it. Alright.
I'd even go up like a dB or two.
Up? You would go up? Oh,
I can't, like in my headphones, I can't really hear it. Let's try
I
again.
put it from 35 to 34.
wanna get the cash? Don't you wanna get the cash? Don't you wanna?
Sounds like
No use telling me that you want to.
Y'all can't hear that? I can hear that. Come
Yeah,
on.
it sounds like air to me. It's
Yeah.
effective. I think that's probably what you should have it be, right? Just have it be
Yeah.
air. It's just adding like some,
Don't you wanna get the
Yeah, it's not meant to be an obvious kind of like
I hear it
effect.
now. Yeah, I hear it now.
cash? Don't you wanna get the cash? Don't you wanna
You bring it up a little bit.
cash?
We might go back and forth on that.
It'll be hard to tell until everything's in there anyway.
Don't you want
Whoa. We got the laser drill.
get the cash? Don't you wanna get the cash? Don't you wanna
Cool. I'm into it.
Go
Ooh,
into
let's
the
get that.
dent-
Yeah. The alien dentist.
get the cash? Don't you wanna get the cash? Don't you wanna get the cash? Don't
Yeah, I want that. Have some reverb on it.
get the cash? Don't you wanna get the cash? Don't you wanna
Oh, okay. Chorus time. Here we go. Here we go.
know you?
Oh, I missed a cymbal swell.
Don't you wanna?
Shame on me.
Don't you wanna? Don't you wanna? No use telling me that you want to.
Where's the stacks there? Oh, yeah. All right. Let's get Luke in here first.
Don't you wanna? No use telling me that you want to. Only you can
These are already hard panned left and right.
Don't you wanna? No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that. Go and get that new day. Riding up on this.
All right. Let's bring everything else in.
Don't you wanna? No use telling me.
That's going to come way up.
Don't you wanna? No use telling me that you want.
Love that disco string. Love a good disco string.
Don't you wanna? No use. Want to. Only you can get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that. Don't you wanna? No use telling me that you want to. You can get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can.
What is the instrument that's adding a ton of energy here and excitement? Which one is it, guys? The synth. Somebody says the synth. That's the one I was thinking. That octave, that high octave Juno. That's what makes it. That's really gives it the excitement there.
Don't you
Right.
wanna?
Here it is without it.
I guess you're still a little.
No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get.
Here it is with it.
No use telling me that you want to.
That one right there. Those little horn stabs, Juno horn stabs. That's where the energy's coming from. One more time. Before and then without and then with.
No use telling me that you want.
Now with.
No use telling me that you want.
Huge, right? It's that brightness. This is really a masterclass in production here too, right? Pay attention to what's going on with that sound in terms of frequencies. What's going on with that sound? Shaker, how is this different from the other sounds? Height, brightness. Yeah, it's higher. It's not only played higher in register, but because of that, it fills out higher frequencies, right? Yep. And it makes the mix taller, stretches it out in this direction. Totally. Big, makes a big difference in terms of emotion and how you feel the song and excitement levels, right? It's that high end.
No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that cash.
Right? And we're not doing that with EQ. We're just doing that by bringing in volume, bringing volume levels up and down in a very intentional way.
DJ said it sounded like the mix went from sitting down to standing up.
That's awesome.
Is the whole point really of that part, right?
Yeah.
No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that.
This part,
Cool.
special announcement.
Get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that.
Cool. Really cool. Okay. And then that is what I call the first third. Let's see what we got up to that point. Just take a listen. Oh, got the Moog. I think it's pronounced Moog.
No use want to. Only you can get up and
Notice what's going on here, production-wise? What was added to that bass sound? High end, exactly. Exactly, introducing more high end, which creates more excitement in that chorus.
No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get there. New day.
Yeah, that tasty little bass swoop. Little Bruno Mars.
Up and go and get there. New day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get there. Cash.
I don't know, sounding pretty dope so far.
You can get up and go and get. Can get up and go and get there. Cash. Get up and go and get there. Cash.
Cool. Let's keep going. I was gonna go back to the beginning and just listen through up to that point, but let's just keep going. We got a lot to do here. Nice little break, and I'm gonna assume that's where Luke comes in. With his cash. Just busts in. La da 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 da. Ba-dum-dum-dum-dum. There's Luke.
You say I got it wrong. You say I need it. You say I should be the one to get it. Well, I could have made that jump in, and I could have made that something. So don't you wanna get that
Perfect. Got some ad lib there.
You say I got it.
Oh, a little Michael Jackson.
You say I got it wrong. You say I need it. You say I should be the one to get it. Well, I could have made that jump.
First throw.
Well, I could have made that jump in, and I could have made to get. Well, I could have made that jump in, and I could have made that something. So don't
Okay. Pretty good, pretty good. Going good, going good.
you want to get it. Well, I could have made that jump in, and I could have made that something.
Really cool addition of guitars in there. It's like, hey, here's Luke, something new. And the guitarists are coming in with them.
You say I got it wrong. You say I need it. You say I should be the one to get it. Well, I could have made that jump in, and I could have made that something. So don't you wanna get? You
More
say
time.
I got it wrong. You say I need it.
Huh.
You say I should be the one to get it. Well, I could have made that jump in, and I could have made that something. So don't you wanna get that cash?
Lovely.
Yeah, the vocals a little popping out. You hear how the vocals popping out places and getting lost in certain places. That's all stuff we'll work on day 3. You could work on it in this phase of the process, but we're gonna work on it on day 3. But you're totally right if you're hearing that. Yep.
Well, I could have made that jump in, and I could have made that something.
I love that harmony. Absolutely love it. I'm gonna say warmth because I kind of like it straight
Apparently
up. Huh?
Apparently your mic's still a little too hot for the song.
My microphone?
Yep.
My microphone? My speaking microphone? How about now? Is that better?
It is.
Is that good? Now it's too low? Somebody said too low. Here, what
Split
if
the
I do
difference.
that? What if I do this? What if I go? I can't do that. I can't do that. Hold on. All right, how about now? How about now? Is that good? Is that good?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. All right. We will continue.
Well, I could have made that jump in, and I could have made that something. She said, don't you wanna get that couch?
Oh, no use.
And big kick.
Oh, no use. Tell me that. Oh, no use. Tell me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that new day. Right now, no use. Tell me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that new day. Right now, find this new way. Only you can get up and go and get that. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away.
Grab some of these stragglers.
Moment, don't you wanna get that? Ace been played. The moment, don't you wanna get that? Ace been played. Go and get that cash.
You say I got it wrong. You say
Bring a little bit more attention to the coin drop.
You say I got
Ah.
it wrong. You say I need it. You say I should be the one to get it. Well, I could have made that jump in, and I could have made that something. She said, don't you wanna get that couch?
This part, I'm going to just bring that up. I'm going to take that little region there and then just gain it up a little bit.
Something. She said, don't you wanna get that couch?
No use. Tell me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that.
Okay. We got a group of, is this a million Sabrinas? I think it may be. Find out right now.
You can get up and go and get that.
Boom. Yeah, we'll just take that. Say, call that acquire. So I just bust those background vocals together, and I'm just going to treat it as a unit.
Get up and go and get that. You can get up and go and get that. New day. Right now, find this new way. Only you can
And this, somebody said harmonies pan them out. The panning's already baked in.
up and go and get that.
So there's a pair out to the sides, and then it looks like a pair of 50%,
Get up and go and get that.
and then a pair straight up the middle, it looks like.
Get up and go and get that.
You know. So they're already panned. However, I'm gonna pan them all. Pan them all out. Just hard left and right.
Get up and go and get that.
I don't know. The width
can get up and go and get there. New day, riding up on this new wave. Oh, you can get up and go and get there. Call me when you can.
And I don't know, I might take that back later.
Can get up and go and get there. New day, riding up on this new wave. Oh, you can get up and go and get there. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. Call me.
Get some of these Lukes in.
I wanna run away with you. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. Call me with you. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. Call me when you can cash out.
And this is our big bridge group. Gotcha.
I wanna run, call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. No use telling me that.
More of that, please.
No, telling me that you want to.
There.
No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get
Love the character in that.
want to. Don't tell me.
Yeah, great character.
Only you can get up and go and get that new day, riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that. No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that new day, riding up on this new wave. No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get no use.
Where is it?
No use telling me you want to. No use telling me you want to. Telling me you want. Telling me you want to. Telling me you want to.
It's this one.
Telling me you want. Telling me you want to. No use. Want to. Only you can get you want to. Only you can get you want to. Only
Might tighten that one up just a little bit.
want to. Only you can get up and go and get there. New day, riding up on this new wave. Only you can get a new day, riding up on this new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get there.
Cool. Awesome. Really great like stacking and harmonies and things like that going on here. Really great job. Let's pop this up. Nice. So I put a lot of those vocals into the same group. I'm going to do the same thing with these. Just organizing right now. All this stuff's at sides group. We're gonna go ahead and just toss into the same bus so that this whole choir, this whole Sabrina choir gets
Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run
treated the same way.
and get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that. No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get that new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that
Harmony outro.
new day.
Riding up on this new
New wave. Only you can get up and go and get that
Love it.
new day. Riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get that. You can cash out. I wanna run away with you. No use telling me
Cool. And I think that's a balance. Let's see. Missing anything? Besides these guys back here, which we know about. Oh, we got a bass wow here and this guy here. Anything else? No, just these two
Oh, there
guys.
was one more. There was one more you missed.
Where?
Top of the
Where?
yellow. Keep
Where?
going. Keep going.
Very top. The
You're good.
beep. No, it's in.
Oh.
That's
Just
in.
looked not in. You're right.
Let's see, bass wow. Cool. All right, let's grab those. Where's that wow? Wow.
That's right, Carlos. He built it around the kick drum and the vocal pretty much, and like everything else kind of fit around that. So you always kind of have to pick a root thing. Oftentimes maybe the kick and maybe the other couple important elements, and then just build everything around it. And right now you're just going with gut. We'll bring in references here in a minute, and I'll even talk about some mastering stuff here in a bit, but some mindsets. But yeah, right now you're just kind of following your gut. You have to do something, so go forward with what you think is best, and then we'll check with the reference in a minute.
call me call me when you can cash out. I wanna run. Call me when you can cash out. I wanna run away with you. No use telling me that run away with you. No use telling me that you won't.
That's everything. Cool. And typically from this point, I do just like another listen through of the entire song. Maybe write some notes, do some tweaks, some changes, kind of Uji things into place. But yeah, that's pretty much a wrap on balance. Guys, got any quick questions before we move on? We do have one more kind of one more lesson for you before we shut it down.
Couple more things actually well, yeah, but I'm impressed how far you took it with just volume. That's cool. And other people in the chat were commenting that you got it already much better with that.
Somebody has no real panning here. Yeah, there was some panning. There's some
Yeah,
panning.
it was baked in on, so we didn't have to do it.
Do you stop listening to a song that you mix for a few days? No, I don't have a few days to do that. Nope. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea, especially if you're earlier on in the learning curve. It's like, hey, like step away. I think breaks is a good idea. You know, stepping away and understanding, hey, am I like rabbit holing here on one thing too much? Or am I keeping the pace up and am I keeping up the momentum? You know what I mean? Do you also use headphones? No, I never use headphones. I might check. I shouldn't say never, but it's pretty rare. I don't really do a lot of headphone stuff.
I'll check headphones towards the end while I'm referencing things. Sometimes I'll just check for spatial stuff and
Lawrence, it's great, man. That's being a newbie, learning about the volume thing has been extremely helpful for me. Dude, just simplifying it and starting with that volume balance, man, like it's very, very powerful. And like resisting the urge, you know, like how many of you would have, once we hit Luke's vocal, how many of you would have immediately like reached for a bunch of compressors or like limiters or started to do something with that vocal in terms of dynamics, right?
yeah. I saw a lot of people like even commenting in the chat like I would fix this right now.
Mid-range.
Normally,
I saw
normally I
a
would
comment
fix
about
this,
mid-range.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can just make a note of it because then you're staying in the goal of this time, which is just you saw how laser focused Jake is on painting in those 3 dimensions of space, not just statically even, but like how different parts had more lift and other parts had takedown. All of that is done with volume. And if you get laser focused on that and save the rest of it for later, I think it allows you again to work with a lot more intention both now and later.
It also helps when you have good producers to work with. So that's a plus. Not having to fix a whole bunch of stuff and just relying on the intentionality of the arrangement. You know, all the energy is there. Right.
We've done a wide range on these fix the mixes of polishedness going in. There's still work to be done on this, but it's not by any means mixed, but we'll be able to focus on like finer details in this fixed mix session, which will be cool. They're all kind of different for different reasons, right? And it's always it's like amazed me as I go around, and I've worked with a lot of in a lot of different studios and been with mix engineers and people over the years. This is not stuff that's like for beginners. I see people everywhere doing this stuff. They know the value of the mindsets and compartmentalizing processes and the power of volume and gain. Like this is how people are working who are doing hit records.
Sabrina says I'm gonna do remix competition on the channel. Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, I always have to get creative with how I promote my music, as most people follow me for Logic Pro tips, not my music. So pretty much every time I release a song, I do a remix contest.
Nice.
Maybe someone here did the other ones.
Are we also going to offer them a chance to practice mixing on these, or was that something that
No,
you're not ready for?
don't
Okay.
usually. Maybe that would be kind of a cool thing to do in the future. Because sometimes when I do a remix contest, people think they're just like actually just remixing, like remix, kind of like what
Balancing.
Jake is.
Balancing. Yeah.
But typically I don't. I mean, I could. It would just be really, how do you listen to like 1,000 different mixes?
Oh, it's not a contest. It's just for practice. It's like a kinesthetic learning as they go along with us.
Yeah, I can ask Luke if he's okay with it. If it was my full, I would say take him, but I just have to
Cool.
make sure it's with him.
Yeah, ask
Yeah.
Luke. No worries. A lot of times we do that. If not, we can provide something else, or maybe there's something else that you're working on.
And someone asked me if I practice vocals every day. I do not. I was professionally singing for 10 years and I really built up my chops. I went to Berkeley for singing, but I really learned my chops from singing on a cruise ship every day, 3 to 5 hours for like 6 contracts.
That'll
So
do it.
that's where I really learned how to sing. I mean, the best way to learn how to sing is to actually sing, right? Like yes, you need to learn the fundamentals, how to do it properly, but like if you do it, it's just like another muscle, essentially.
Yeah, can't practice forever,
Yeah.
right? Especially for like aspiring mixing engineers, mastering engineers, producers, right? Doing your own stuff. If your long-term goal is to start working with people, let's start working with people.
Yep.
Like there is no better way. There's no better baptism by fire than to just put yourself out there and start doing some work, you know?
I totally agree with that. I love kicking students out of the nest, the students we work with in our program, a little bit before it's comfortable, because that's really how you have to grow. You can practice forever and take more programs forever and everything, but you just got to get out there and work.
Then it becomes like, all right, I got to learn by necessity now. I got no choice.
Yeah, I love that. Somebody said they used to busk in Manhattan for a summer, and that's what helped them. And singing for your food will do it. I used to do like hashtag singing for my supper on the cruise ship because it like genuinely felt like that. Like I was like, okay, work, and then I get to eat this food that they provide me. And then I used to sing
Thank you.
weddings. Like that's what it was like. I only just stopped singing cover band gigs last year. I said, I'm
You paid
finished.
your dues.
I paid
Wow,
my
you
dues.
paid your dues. Yeah.
You
If I
retired.
sang, yeah, I'm retired. If I sang "Don't Stop Believing" one more time, I would fact forever
Retired,
stop.
retired wedding singer. I love it. Cool. So we do have another section. Do you want to do a little break before, or should we jump right into it? One's in chat if you want to break, two's in chat if you want me to just push forward.
Oh, now we have a mix.
Yeah,
So
it's it is completely mixed.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 1 2 2 2 2 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 2
3. All right, let's do a short break. We'll just do like 3 minutes.
Okay,
Everyone can,
all right.
I know some people have different sizes of
People that
bladders.
want to say I can answer questions if they want.
Cool. Appreciate that. All right. I'll take 3 because I need a decaf refill here. I'll put on my
Yeah.
time, my favorite
Questions,
timer.
specific questions for me, or I don't know if Caleb's staying.
I will stay, but I just need 1 sec to grab something.
Background music every day. I really try to. For me, so people who've seen my content know this. I try to like stick to my like MMMM strategy, which is working on a minimum of 90 minutes every day on music, mindset, marketing, and money. And that's really how I break up my day. Because if I don't fill one of those buckets consistently, then I suffer, right? If I don't fill the mindset bucket, which is like exercising and eating healthy and walking outside, then I suffer. If I don't fill the music section and I'm just focused on money or marketing, I suffer. If I just focus on marketing, then I make no money. And if I just focus on money, then I should do a different career. Really. Oh, and a lot of people have been talking about my Logic Pro book. Thanks for getting it. I hope you love it. It was the hardest project I've ever done in my entire life. And it's crazy how like Logic is. Like I spent so many years just like learning it as much as I could. And then every single day, even to this day, I'm still learning new stuff. So I'm like, and the cool thing is anybody that bought the Logic Pro book, like as I learn it and I improve on it, I'm gonna send you guys updates. So I already have like another little update that's coming soon. So it'll be like a little surprise. I don't want to promote that as part of the book. I want it to be just like a surprise. So I'm just telling you guys. The book is it okay if I post a link, Caleb?
Yep.
Okay. Let me get you guys a discount. I want to get you guys like a special discount. So, uno momento, por favor. Oh. The discount is okay, so this should be 50% off for you guys.
Dang. It's a bargain.
Count. So
Can
check it.
Can I get 50% off? Sides?
Yeah. I mean, Caleb. Yeah.
I'll say this, I've been using Logic for a long, long time. I feel like I know like 10% of the program.
It's crazy.
It's so much. There's so much you can do, and I probably know like 10% of it.
So, so yes, I am a mentor for mastering.com. And actually on Wednesday, I have my mentoring session at 12. So I will be leaving early. It'll still be happening, right, Caleb? But I'm still doing my mentoring session. So
Yep.
everyone will just have to know that I'll be there. But if you can't make that mentoring session because you're here, don't worry because it'll be recorded and you can watch that later. And also this will be recorded. So oh, and someone was asking about that other class that I'm doing. So yes, I have a class on Thursday for my own channel, and that's at 1 p.m. So that should be after this. This will finish before 1 p.m.
Yeah. We love having Sides as a mentor. She's just killing it with our students, and we try to bring in great teachers. And if you know her, you know she's a great teacher.
And you guys know me, I'm very picky about who I work with. So I wouldn't be just working with anyone. And it's been really cool to be invited and so welcomed on the team. And the community is like so awesome.
It's pretty insane. It's a good
Yeah.
collection of folks.
What was my inspiration for writing the song? So I actually wrote this song. So when I first started producing, I was writing a 30-minute 8-bar loop every single day. And I would just challenge to get myself to do that. And then I was also challenging myself to post on TikTok a creation of the day every day. So I made this little 8-bar loop and then I was like, okay, I need to make like the little creation. So then I just wrote, never had enough and your life's been tough, always living for the moment. Don't you wanna get that? And then I found like a sample on Splice that was like cash. And it just like I just like put that in and it was so weird. And that was like one of the first videos on TikTok that got like 2,000 views, which was a big deal. And like these bigger creators started following me, being like, I'm vibing, I'm liking this song, I'm vibing. And it was really exciting. And so I was just like sitting on this song for like forever. And then when I connected with Luke and we decided we were gonna collab, he actually sent me something that he started and I was like just singing this over it. And then it just kind of all like fit together. And then it was really cool working with him because we were able to send Logic Project back and forth. So we were just going back and forth with Logic projects. And it's really cool when you get to work with someone that does things like differently than you do. So it's like really interesting to learn from him. He's an instrumentalist. I'm not, but I was doing a lot of like adding like arrangements, adding vocals, writing a lot of the lyrics, but he's also really good at lyrics. So it was just really cool. Yeah, that's that. What
Awesome.
process did you apply to your vocals? So I'm not going to tell you anything about our processing because I want to hear Jake's method. Everyone has their own, but they're all pretty much like, it's like the same but different. I feel like it's like different ways to bake a pizza. Do you feel
We've
that
already
way?
done-
Volume,
done-
frequencies, dynamics, and space, right? Like we're gonna
Yeah.
think about all of those things, those four main elements when it comes to vocals, right? I think they're asking, did you apply any processing during the production phase?
Oh, during the production phase. No. No. So I have compressors and I have auto tune and I have reverb and I have all that stuff that I could print to my vocals. I typically don't like to do that, especially when I'm working with a collaborator because they might want to have like creative liberties and I don't want to just like print anything that I have to like re-record or, you know, I just only do that. I mean, however, if you do really know your way around a compressor, which I'm sure Jake has his compressors and he might print his use a compressor to his vocals because in the end it will save you time if you know what you're doing and are really know your way around like what you want and what you want to keep. Ultimately, we're in the business to save time also. So it just makes sense to the individual product and the compressors you're using and the vocals you're using.
Man, I get both. I get both all the time. I get stuff baked in, I get stuff completely raw. It's today, like nowadays, we're just getting it all.
Yeah.
Kind of across the board.
These are tuned though,
Oh.
aren't they?
They're tuned.
These vocals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably Luke went through and tuned them because I didn't. I'm usually I am not perfectionist. I'm a good enough kind of gal. Like even Jake going through and being like, oh, I can tighten up these vocals a bit. That's not something that I would have done. I'm happy he's doing it because I love that's why you work with other people, right? Because they can offer a different ear set or different quality than what you're used to. For me, I'm like, if it gets the vibe across and it doesn't like it, you know that feeling when you hear somebody like out of tune and you're like, ugh, if it doesn't give me that feeling, then I'm like, it's good enough. Not to say that's right or wrong. That's just kind of how I am.
Yeah,
And
everybody
some
works.
people, somebody was asking, about how they'll know about the remix contest. Well, if you don't end up buying the Logic Pro course, which is totally okay, no pressure, but you do want to know about it, you can either follow me on Instagram or even better, just like download one of my free products on my link in bio. So then you can one, have a free product, and two, you'll be like on my mailing list. So then I will like send you an email about all the information.
Somebody says, is editing vocals part of production or mixing? Yeah, it's I guess neither. But if I had to loop it in with one, I would loop it into production.
Yeah.
If I've got
For sure.
tracks that come in that need some like vocal tracks that need tuning and there's a whole bunch of stacks and they need alignment and things like that, that's an additional cost and it's an editing phase. I do that outside of, my mixing mindset because they're two very different kind of things. Mixing, you're listening for one set of things. And for editing, it's more about detail work and precision and a whole different kind of mindset. So I think it's important to kind of compartmentalize those two pieces of the process.
It's also like something to keep in mind that like that's kind of like a whole job, right? Like that's a whole, there's somebody like for like Beyonce tracks or all those tracks, there's somebody mixing those or like editing those vocals for like 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, getting them so perfect. So when you say like, oh, should you do this? Should you do that? It's really up to you, right? It's how meticulous you want it to be, how spot on you want it to be, like how perfect or unperfect you want it to be. um yeah, I try to like do as much as I can before I wouldn't send like, me personally, I wouldn't send somebody like outrageously out of tune or out of rhythm vocals. Like they're already going to go through like enough times where I'm like, okay, like I would play this, you know, before I like send somebody like horrible vocals or a bajillion vocals that they're going to have to go through and tune, because that would be like their first reason to like never want to work with me again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think these days I'm seeing more and more producers just send stuff that's been edited that way. They've figured it out, they've tuned them, they've time aligned them. I'm getting that more often these days.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing to do in production.
So it is really, I mean, I don't mix for people, but my boyfriend mixes for people, and he's gotten some horrible vocals where he's had to be like, I don't even know what to do. And not even just horrible vocals, but vocals like printed within each other. So like horrible untuned stacks of harmonies like printed to one track. And what I will say is that you really have to like coach your clients, right? You have to coach your clients on like what you need, what you're expecting them, what fees are for what. And the more you can kind of like coach them in an educational way, one, they'll be grateful to you that you're like teaching them something new. And two, it'll like save you time and money, because like tuning and editing a wild amount of vocals, that can be wild. That
Oh
can
yeah,
be
that could be a huge project.
yeah. You end up going from making a decent amount of money to making like way less than minimum wage.
It should be a separate charge, and it's not even good for the mixer to have to do. They would have listened to the song way too many times by the time they even start mixing, if they have to do that editing work. And there's like a limit to how objective you can stay for how long. You know what I mean? Like you can only hear it so many times before your ears start playing tricks on you. Anyhow,
Do you have a track count limit when accepting mixing jobs? No.
Nope.
Nope.
but I have
So
I have a price increase
Is the
as
pricing
they
in
go up.
tiers for say the more track count, the more you charge? It depends. Yeah, it just depends on the project.
But definitely, yeah, if it's a bigger project, there's definitely more cost involved.
also, someone asked about auto tune. So I don't think we use any auto tune. We use Melodyne, so we use like a tuner, but we didn't use an auto tune. They're separate and they get easily confused with each other. The best way to think about it is like, I don't know, how would you say? I would say like the best way to think about it is like a tuner is like almost an effect, honestly. Like no, an auto tune is like almost like an effect because well, I don't know. And then like a Melodyne is more of like a manual tuner.
Yeah, I think it's more for me, it's more about the severity. I have a kind of a policy within the people I work with, basically where if auto tune can't fix the problems, then they have to sing it again.
Oh, really?
That's how I work with clients. Like, because I don't want to go in and do manual stuff. That means it's just too far away from the keynote
What if it's
to
one problem
maybe
though?
maybe one or two. You know, maybe I'll do one or two. But the point is like if it's way out, they just need to go practice more and
Yeah.
get it. It's just going to end up sounding better because the more you have to tune something, the less natural it's going to sound. So the
I
clients I work with usually want to get to a higher level of sounding good, and it's just like, hey, just go, go practice this to a click if you're out of time. Go practice singing this to a click. Go practice singing this and to a tuned version of yourself or some exercise that can lock it in a little bit more, and then I can just apply a very light auto tune to it, and it's just going to sound a lot better and more natural.
Yeah, I like listening to a lot of like hyper pop music, so like Charlie XCX and like that kind of stuff. So I love like putting auto tune on like as using it as an effect and getting really fun with like the presets and like widening it. Like I really love Metatune for those of you that have like a Slate subscription. So that's kind of like how I've always like conditioned myself to think, well, first of all, I'm a singer, so I'm always trying to sing it on tune and then pitch the best.
Yep.
I would never, I don't think I would, for me personally, I wouldn't do like a subtle auto tune, but that's not to say that like obviously like Caleb is a pro mix master. Everyone's gonna have their own version of like what they
You
want to
probably
use.
wouldn't you probably wouldn't be able to hear it, and I'm definitely not talking about times where I'm using tuning as an effect. That's what you're talking about, which is like a whole different conversation.
You're using it as an automatic correcting tool. In a
I'm
way subtle enough so that the vocal still sounds natural. You're just
Yeah.
kind of pulling it in and getting it tight.
just getting it tighter, and I like them to, for most genres, I like them to sing that a lot tighter to begin with because performance really ends up being so much of what matters. But to your point, if it's a time where it's going to be a hyper tuned pop track or hip hop track or something like that, it's kind of a different thing. I still want them to sing it pretty close, but then I'm affecting it to give it that
Yeah.
cool tuned feel.
So someone asked a really good question about AutoTune not working with Mac OS Sonoma. So you have to some of those plugins you have to run on Rosetta. So yeah, so just you could just watch like a YouTube video on how to like run your Logic on Rosetta, but ultimately you just like go to info and then just select like Rosetta because some of the plugins haven't updated to like the new Apple software systems.
Yep. So far we focused on principles that are very important, but they're pretty simple. We're going to get deeper, obviously, as we go into the next couple of days. But just because it's simple doesn't mean it's not important. And I urge you to try a process where you focus on volume more. And like Jake was doing, take notes, let it be compartmentalized, and let those other EQing and EQing and dynamics processing and spatial stuff be done kind of in a separate mindset. Take that with you. It's cool. It's almost like a cool challenge to see how far you can push a mix just with volume. Like it's almost like a game I play with myself, and I feel like kind of this master of audio sitting and just painting in these dimensions of space and seeing how far I can push all of that stuff like a wizard or something.
I was just
It's
gonna say the audio wizard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like this cool thing you get to do. You get to work in width and height and depth and everything. And I think you should make that fun and just see how the further you can push it with volume, the less you'll have to do with other stuff, and the better it's going to end up sounding. So, just because it's simple, don't be lost on the value of it.
Sure.
I also want to just thank the sponsor. I failed to do so far. IK Multimedia is sponsoring this event to make it free for all of you. They're a good a partner of ours, and they make great stuff and they're cool to work with. And we're going to be just using their plugins for the most part over the next couple of days.
Dude,
So you'll get a
they're
demonstration about how they work.
and they're clippers, and I was just using their stuff in like my mastering chain the other day. That classic clipper, dude. It's so
Oh,
good, so
really?
phenomenal. It's really, yeah, and you can change the. I'm getting nerdy. I'm sorry. I won't dig into it. I won't rabbit hole. But anyway, the clipper is really good. The stealth limiter is phenomenal.
Cool.
Both of those. Just shout out to those two plugins. IK Multimedia, loving them. We're gonna
Loving
see a
them.
lot in the next couple days. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I was just about to nerd out. I was just about to do it. I stopped myself, guys. We'll get to it on day 3, day 2, and
By the way, we don't take any money from the sponsor in that respect. They give us discounts for our students in our program and things like that. So, yeah, you should use whatever you know. You should use simple tools. You don't need to go buy a bunch of crazy plugins to be successful. You should know the power of free and cheap stuff, but there are also a lot of other cool plugins that a lot of manufacturers do make, like IK Multimedia, that can be cool tools to put in your arsenal. But don't let it be a limitation.
thanks, guys. Nerd power. Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how to think like a mastering engineer, because this is a fundamental concept to what we teach as a company to our students in our education program. We didn't come to this by chance. It wasn't just like a late night bar drunken idea that someone had. We we got this from working with students over the last 10 years and just seeing the power of thinking with the end in mind in particular. I used to train just mastering engineers, and I worked with just mastering engineers for a long time. And there was something cool that they would say, and they kept saying to me as I worked with them, and they would comment about how it was cool that they were learning mastering. It's something they'd always wanted to learn. And at that time, like no one knew how to master. Like it was just kind of saved for like the white-haired hippie guys that you know got at the end of their career and got bored and wanted something else to do. But they started saying interesting things to me, like I'm learning mastering, but there's something about the process of learning mastering that's actually making my mixes better and even my productions better. And we're like, well, that's odd, but I kept hearing it enough that I started thinking about it. What I realized is that mastering is the ultimate thing to learn to force you to think with your left brain about music, the technical parts. Nothing else is quite as technical. It's almost non-right brain at all. It's not creative. It's very, very technical. And for most people who grew up as artists and creatives, that's the thing they're kind of lacking, is that deep technical understanding of sound waves and audio and the things that are going on with that. And then also there's something really powerful about understanding what mastering engineers understand about what stuff during the mixing and production sessions happen that make their jobs easier and what makes their jobs harder. What makes it impossible for them to make a master sound great? Because you'll find as you do if you've ever done mastering, there's certain things you just can't fix. You can't turn a Toyota into a Ferrari. You could turn a Toyota into a better Toyota or a Lexus. Maybe.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, Lexus maybe. You're limited in your tools, and so we're doing this incredibly important thing, which is raising songs up to this industry standard volume. And there's a lot of things you do in mixing and production that make it impossible to raise it up very well, while also keeping clarity and not adding things like artifacts and pumping and all this other stuff. So as you master, what you get is this unique insight into all the stuff, all the mistakes you can make all through the process that hold you back, which is a really cool way to learn. If you think about it, it's going to shed insight into the rest of the process. So what you start doing as you start working in the normal direction is stop making those mistakes, start doing things differently all through the process, so that by the time you come to mastering, you can really push it into a magical realm. So there is some method to this madness, and we found it to be an incredibly powerful way to teach people these concepts. The first thing I want to talk, I'm going to give you a little nugget about mastering every day. Today, I want to talk about frequencies, and there's tools that mastering engineers use to assess frequencies that we should be using in our mixes. And in fact, it's a really great thing to be able to do on a webinar like this because we're, like I said in the beginning, we're all kind of hearing things differently. All our speakers are inaccurate in different ways. Our rooms are inaccurate in different ways. Our headphones are all different. We need some objective tools to be a foundation for us to kind of assess things all together. So I'm going to give you, it's not an IK multimedia tool, but it's a tool from Waves, and you can use whatever one. Do they have a analyzer, Jake? I don't know if they do, but there's lots of analyzers out there. There's even free ones. It doesn't matter which one you use. It just matters if you know how to read it. So what we have here is a frequency analysis tool. It's showing us the frequency balance. And by the way, balance is one of those things that's incredibly important to a mastering engineer to get it to that industry standard volume. So it's something we need to start thinking about in mixing, but it's showing us frequency balance. You see on the, I think I even have a more close-up image here. I do. You see on the left-hand side, something that looks like a big drop-off. And on the right side, you see more of a gradual drop-off. The reason I said you have to just know the analyzer that you're using and how they work is because they all kind of work differently. The PAS, for example, what it's supposed to look like is basically what's on the right-hand side. You'll find that no matter what genre you listen to, any style of music pretty much, are going to have some variation of a gentle slope from about 60 hertz down to 16K or 20K. It's going to look something like what you have. And you're not looking at all the little bumps and stuff like that. In mastering, we're just looking at big picture balance stuff. You could look at that stuff later for different reasons that we can describe on the other days. But in a mastering perspective, we're just looking at that total kind of balance from 60 down to 16 hertz. That's how it's supposed to look. You see on the left-hand side, it's like a major drop off. I mean, what if you had to guess what frequencies are missing from the left-hand one, what would it be? Just to make sure we're all on the kind of the same page. Jake, they getting it?
So highs.
Yeah, there's almost no highs in it at all. If you compared it from the right-hand side to the left-hand side, there's no highs, but there's just as much bass. So what's that going to sound like? It's going to sound bassy and muddy. It's an incredibly useful tool. And by the time you send it to mastering, it should look more like what's on the right-hand side. And we can assess that all through the process, even in production to some degree, but mostly in mixing. And it's also nice that it will help us circumvent, not just for the sake of this webinar, but just for the sake that most people don't have very accurate rooms. I work with people, and one of the big things we do in our program is help people get an accurate listening environment. So I know that 90% of people really don't have that. So for those of you who can't afford to necessarily do that right now or don't have that yet, this can be something that you can use to objectively kind of keep yourself in check. So these objective anchors are very important. The other thing, and Jake's going to show us the PAS just now, and he's going to show you know what it looks like, and we can listen to some references and stuff and compare them. But you should also always be referencing. This is the point in time after we do this kind of static volume mix and get everything based upon our gut kind of sense where things should go. This is where we should really bring in a reference and start checking things objectively. And references in this case are pretty, you know, you're looking kind of big picture. The song isn't going to sound exactly the same. It might not even have all the same instruments. We're not looking at individual instruments or anything like that. We're looking at sonic the frequencies and dynamics of things, the volume of things, big picture stuff. Is the kick of a similar loudness? Are the vocals in a similar place? Is there enough brightness? How's the bass? How's the mid-range comparatively? We're looking at that kind of stuff. So that's the introduction. Now Jake can kind of show us a little bit more how to do that in a real sense.
Hey, all right. Pass the baton back here. Yeah, dude. Let's go back in here. Check this out, guys. We've got our mix. We are going to pull in some references. So I've got some references here. I have worked in this style before, so I already have some stuff downloaded.
Yeah, so people are like, how do you find references? Yeah, you just, I just get on and start breezing through the top tracks in a particular genre, and when I find something, I'll just pay $1 and get it on Amazon. That's usually the fastest way for me, but there's other ways to do it too.
Yep. So this is Dua Lipa all day. I'm gonna bring in a Dua Lipa track. I'm gonna bring in Don't Start Now. I'm gonna bring in
Yes,
Oh,
Brian, that's a good point. You should ask for clients from you should ask for references from your clients for sure. That's their way of communicating with you what they're actually hearing, which is a lot more accurate than usually what they would say, because it's hard to describe
let's see
feelings in
here.
our head.
Let's do this Katy Perry song too. These all kind of have like a similar vibe, similar kind of feel, right? Dance pop kind of feel, right? And I'm going to bring the volume down on these. Don't really need them to be like smashed in terms of volume here. I'm going to kind of level match these first. So bear with me here, guys.
Know you about me now that you want to. I hope it up and go and get hurt me with the day. Right now, sometime only you can get up.
Take it. Pop stars, do a leap of an A and the painting on me.
Telling me that you want. I need you. I hope try to get there. 2.0. But now I got back that smile. Want to, only you can scratch that, baby. I'm good. New day. Finally got away. Only 2.0. Remodel. But now I my starlight. I need you. Can get up to hurt me with new day. Right now, took some time to.
What are the main differences here without even looking at the an analyzer or metering or anything like that? What's the biggest difference? High end, brightness. Yep. Yep, brightness. That's what I would say. High end. And we should be able to see this. And I'm going to first show you the tool that Caleb was referencing, Paz Analyzer.
Any analyzer will do. Just listen to some music through it and see how it works. Some will be a flat line, some will be a tapered line like this. Just get familiar with it. This is one we're familiar with.
So check this out.
No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get there. New day, riding up on this new wave. Only
Right? Somebody else said mid-range.
Yep.
This is our track. This is our mix with volume only versus our mastered reference. Okay. So hopefully you're married right now. We're marrying what you're hearing with what you're seeing, right? Somebody said mid-range. There's the mid-range buildup, and that's mostly coming from the vocals, right? Somebody else said, most of you said high end. Well, look at the high end on our mix. It's way down here. Look at the high end on Dua Lipa. It's quite a bit further up, right? Is this clicking, guys? Making sense?
It's
And this
useful.
is just a check.
Yeah.
This is just a check for you. If you would rather use your ears, go ahead, like use your ears. But we're just saying this is a useful tool to be able to marry the two and just kind of speed things up and make sure you're on the right path. Make sure.
By the
you're
way,
in the
we also have sub frequencies down there that are eating up some space compared to the Dua Lipa track. You see that they rolled that off a lot better. So
Yep.
that's just taking up headroom. It's informing us about things. And you could go through and find whatever tracks I think we know what they are, but if you were unsure, you could go through and find what tracks are building up in these frequencies. It'll be very clear to see as you soloed stuff and went through what the culprits are, what things are masking each other. And again, we should always use our ears, but how cool is it to be able to, you know, understand the fallibility of our objectivity with our ears sometimes and have this objective foundation to refer back to connect our ears and our eyes and understand things on a deeper level. It's really, really valuable.
Exactly. For T-Rex, we have metering. If you're going to do it this way, what I have found to be like super helpful is the settings here to change these out. A 6th smoothing tends to be fine. I like the kind of like longest release time and set the peak and hold time to infinite, right? So you can kind of see where the peak actually holds across the meter. So I'm going to set that to infinite there, get it set to infinite here, and then we can kind of take a look at it.
No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and get there. New day, riding up on this new wave. Only you can get up and go and get there.
Right? We're seeing the same things here. We're seeing this mid-range where it's actually a little bit flatter here. We're seeing much less high end there, more high end here. There's those sub frequencies here versus a roll off here, right? Same things. Same patterns we're seeing here, right?
Hey, Jake, I
wanna-
failed to mention if you could pull that PAS up really quick one more time when you're done.
Yeah, one more thing before we move into that. If you want to see this at a little bit more of a higher level, you can change the smoothing, right? So instead of a 6th smoothing,
No use telling me that you want to. Only you can get up and go and
changed it over to a 3rd smoothing.
That's probably what I
Right.
would do.
So, and it's just a little bit more of a higher level view, and you can kind of see, you know, look at the curve. It goes boop, and then there's a little bit of a scoop there, and then we can see what's happening. Here, you can see higher level. Okay, we have a more kind of low mids, more lows, and then there's the drop off at the high end, right? We can even go a level further and just go full.
no use telling me.
Tends to be a little bit less helpful. I think 3rd or 6th is probably the way to go with that.
As me, I'd probably go with the 3rd.
Yeah.
Another thing that's really cool is how many times do we have to apply a limiter on the mix bus just to hear things? Could we crank it up with a limiter just so we can hear stuff more accurately? And it's fatiguing our ears immediately, wearing our ears out. You don't have to do that if you use these tools. You can keep things where they should be with the headroom that you should bounce for mastering without having to mix into a limiter or anything like that.
That's right. Did you have something you wanted to say about?
Oh yeah,
PAS?
just the setting. I didn't show them the settings. If you could just run through if you do use this tool, you need to change a couple settings to make it look like what we were just looking at. No, I don't mix into anything at all.
These guys right here. Can you make the PAS bigger? I believe you can. I can and I shall, just for you, Brian. That's for you, Brian. Don't say I never did nothing for you. Oh, it's for everyone else. Yeah. Fine.
That makes it a reasonably low volume, kind of mid.
Those are the settings right here. This is the stuff you want to pay attention to.
The
Take
three
screen-
things you'll have to change are LF res will start out at 40. You want to change that to 10. Detect will start out at peak. You want to change it to RMS, and response will start out, I think, at 100, and you want to change it to like 300 or 400 or something. It's kind of like the infinity thing on the other one, where it's just holding the values. That orange line that you were seeing is just kind of holding the values so you can assess them. Yeah, thanks, Brian. Being Nick today.
Yeah, and then I've got the settings here for IK for metering, smoothing at a third, and then peak and hold at infinite.
Yeah, great point. This is Tom. Tom makes a great point in chat. He says, so to work in reverse as a producer musician, I can be thinking about the instruments and sounds in the high end, for example. Maybe my music tends to be high, low, and mid range. So you can, yeah, exactly. As a producer, you think in this exact same way. How am I painting in this landscape? Not just frequencies, but width and depth and everything else. It's once you understand this, man, you can just take things to such a higher level. And then the mastering engineer can actually do their job. They're not fixing your problems, they're enhancing what you've done and really kind of sending it to the moon with volume. Yeah, great point, Tom.
There are your settings, guys. What else? Any other questions, guys? Before we wrap this thing up and give you your homework? Another few. I think we got time for another few quick ones. When organizing groups like drums, do you separate things based on frequency, like cymbal, crash, snare, tom? No, I don't. I just have a way that I prefer to do things for drums. It's usually, you know, my order is usually kicks, snares, toms. So those are called shells, right? So it's usually shells and then cymbals. So kick, snares, toms, and then hi-hats, any close mic'd cymbals, overheads, room mics. It's my order. My preferred order.
It's not a terrible idea, though. If you wanted to work that way, I could see some value in that. Especially with the stacks within stacks now, like Logic has, you could just have all the high stuff. I think it's usually more detailed than that, though. So, but whatever works for your brain. I say always try, organizational things like that. Why not?
Ooh, Chris has got a good question here. Sabrina, I've been working with BandLab for years. I worry about the bit size and quality of sound. I see on your site that you have worked with BandLab. What do you think? I struggle to get that professional sound with BandLab. After you answer this, Sabrina, I've got some insight on this also. I work with this platform with a couple clients.
Okay. Well, I would say that BandLab is really cool for like multiple reasons. One is that they are constantly investing in themselves, just like Logic is. I don't know as much as the other DAWs as much as I know BandLab and Logic, and they like every time I go on BandLab, there's like a new thing, and I'm like, whoa, and I'm sure Jake's probably experienced that too. Like every single time you go on there, there's like something new. So there are
I
new
don't
and
know my way around that thing, dude.
oh really?
I can't even get around it anymore. Like,
There's so many stuff.
yeah.
No, there's always new stuff. I mean, so if you want to get that professional sound with BandLab, what I would recommend is use their sampled sounds. So their sampled sounds are totally free. Those sounds are as good as Splice sounds. Like they're hiring like some incredible musicians that have all, like, including myself. I have a sample pack on there. I have a sample
Shameless.
pack on, but there's like lots of, and they're all free. You don't need any credits. All you have to do is sign up for a free account and you can use all of those sounds. And they're hiring some really, really good musicians. So just take those and sample those and use those as the instruments. I agree that some of the virtual instruments in there, they don't sound bad. They just don't sound as sophisticated depending on what style of music you're making. So like, but their sampler is really good. So I would say use that. I will say, like, if you are really, really serious about producing and mixing and mastering, eventually you do want to get another DAW just because there's just so much stuff you can do. Like, as far as I understand on BandLab, like, there's no markers. Like, you can get creative with, like, writing the label into the track region instead of, like, the marker. But for me, like, markers really help. I wouldn't do like 100 tracks on BandLab. Also, like you can get creative with like bouncing things down, as there's only so many tracks you can have on BandLab. So you can start, like a lot of these, I've taken a lot of liberties with these vocals that I wouldn't have done with BandLab. For instance, like as you guys saw, like some of those vocals, like a whole track are just like one vocal, where I could have like put a lot of the I could have like consolidated a lot of the harmonies onto one track, if that makes sense. Like use less tracks. So that's how I would make around with BandLab. But really, the best thing about BandLab and GarageBand or any of these free DAWs is that you can make good music on them. Like there are very popular songs that were made on BandLab even and on GarageBand. And don't let anything hold you back from making music. And little by little, just start saving up so you can get a better DAW, or, and do a free trial of Logic, or try out different DAWs to see which one you like the best. Or if you don't have a Mac computer, like try out a different thing. So that's my thoughts on it.
I
Jake.
totally should rarely be. I think there's like a really low entry, like cost of entry that is probably wise, but beyond that, it's really not spending a bunch of money to do this. Just get into something that's good and a solid DAW and use free and cheap plugins. Like you can do so much with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And BandLab has a lot of cool things. Like you can actually like collab in real time with people on BandLab. As far as I know, that's the only DAW you can do that in. Like actually real time. Praying for the day that Logic can do that. That would be amazing.
They'll get there.
Could you
Oh,
just
I'm
talk to him for us, please?
Oh, I've tried.
Can
They
you just
don't,
talk to
they're very cryptic. They're like the most cryptic company. And if
Sure
they
they
don't
are.
want to answer what you say, they just pretend like they don't hear you. Like you'll ask a question, I'll be like, and the weather is beautiful, isn't it? And you're like, I get it. I got you.
Okay, Siri. Like, yeah, for my experience with BandLab, has been great. Like I pass files back and forth. Like I have a couple clients who actually just use BandLab to track their vocals. The only downside to that is you can't download at anything above a 44.1 sample rate, right? So if you're doing like a lot of time shifting and stuff like that, it can get kind of sketchy, right? But it's hardly noticeable, to be honest. Does it really move the needle? Probably not. There's a lot of other stuff going on in a context of a song, and I'm using 44.1 sample rate tracks, and nobody's ever turned off a song because of that. Oh, this sounds like 44.1 sample rate vocals. Click. No, that doesn't happen. Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. So
Yes, you can watch the replays. Again, go to courses.mastering.com. And if we're able to get this multi-track, we'll post that in announcements.mastering.com. But yeah, it's all in courses.mastering.com. You can switch between announcements and everything else. Just go on there. It's all free. There's lots of other cool content you can check out, whatnot.
Jake, to use desktop and external processing? Nope. I am 100% in the box. I've sold everything. I don't have any gear anymore.
I have a compressor that I don't really, I have a compressor.
What kind?
I have an Audioscape.
Do you
It's
love
a-
it?
I do. I can't really talk that much about it because I'm not really like equipped for it properly yet. But
Yeah.
once I am, I would love to. I do plan on making like content with it because I feel like it's a good visual to understand compression. Because for me, compression was like one of the hardest things to like wrap my head around.
You're not
So
alone.
so that's like something that I do really like. It's very like easy. Like there's a threshold, there's a ratio, there's an attack, there's a release, and there's makeup. Like that's it. That's the features on it, which is probably like what they look like to other people too that are on doing out of the box stuff. So yeah, I just need to get another input with my interface. So until I do that, then or I'd have to just like go back and forth. And
Yeah,
I-
but you'll be recording into it, right? You'll be pushing signal like through it, not necessarily mix like routing out to mix with.
So I've been trying to like troubleshoot it and it's not like connecting properly. We can talk about that on the different call.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll help you.
Understood.
I also used to be a big gearhead, and I've sold pretty much everything because workflow and everything's getting really, really good. And there's hit records being made in the box, and there's the pro level mastering engineers doing everything in the box. So once that starts happening, you have to start thinking about workflow and just kind of how you want to be. There's nothing wrong with turning knobs either if that's what you want to do, but you don't need to do that anymore to make great music.
And also,
Somebody asked that too. Like Logic, can I make great sounding music with just Logic stock stuff? Absolutely, 1,000,000% yes.
We've done it. We've done it on these fix the mixes where we just use Logic stock and free stuff.
Yep.
Sounded great.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just as
also
good.
it's also like every new thing you get, like for instance, like I was super excited to get this compressor, but then you have to learn it. You have to spend like hours like really learning it to like really understand it and to make it work properly. So that's why I always just fall back onto like the stock Logic plugins because I'm like, I don't want to spend 3 hours learning something new when I can just like use like the compressors and Logic that I already like know and love. Like I have when I do my own vocal chain, I have it down to like a T. And it's pretty rare that I like leave that route, you know? I don't know if you're that way, like you guys are that way with
Oh
like
yeah. I was just gonna say, like anybody who's showed up to these fix the mixes multiple times can probably name all of my go-to tools. You know, I'm very much in that box. For sure. I have my like little group of tools that I love to use. They're my go-tos. I know how to use them very well and very quickly and get the result that I want. So I can boom, 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 just move on to the next thing.
Yep.
Yeah, anyway.
wow, we have a
So-
lot of
Oh, go ahead, Sides.
Oh no, I'm just interested in all the comments.
Lots of questions, right? It's cool. I just want to give everyone something to go away with, you know, where you can practice along with this. I want you to try volume only mixing, whether we post the multi-tracks for this or not, and we'll let you know in the announcements chat. But whether you do that or not, try this process. It's about trying things on. How does it feel for you? And focus on the high level stuff. Is this helping my mind stay clearer through the process? Is it helping me focus on the right things at the right time? You know, don't do any plugins yet. Don't do any EQ or compression or anything. Just focus on volume and panning and see how far, challenge yourself. How far can you push this song or whatever else you're working on? So volume and panning only, no plugins allowed. And feel free to share that. If you're in the school group, you can share it there. We're in the process of kind of switching over from the school group eventually. So it's kind of in limbo right now. So if you don't know what school is, it's not a big deal. Again, the courses, the replays will be up in a couple of hours. You can watch them on courses.mastering.com. We'll also send you an email with that if you need to catch up for some reason. And if you have to duck out for any reason, you can always catch up. There's nothing wrong with that. But thanks for being here today. Appreciate all of you. Thanks,
And-
Jake, for a great time. Thanks, Sides.
Thank you guys so much for the people that came from like my audience. Like, thank you so much for coming. And I'm so happy you guys got to meet Caleb and Jake. These are the real deal people, the positive people, the stuff that are anti-gatekeepers will tell you everything that you need to know. Every single failure that's happened to them, they're going to tell you so that you don't go through the same horribleness. And I really appreciate you guys for having me. And for mixing my song, and also for everyone that was gassing me up. Like, if I'm in a bad mood, I just need to look at this chat because wow, thank you for the nice comments about my vocals and stuff.
You screenshot the heck out of those, right? And you just put them in a folder and
Oh, I
then you
know.
put them all on your desktop.
I had to send a few to Luke so he can get gassed up too, because you know we do this all the time and we kind of like forget. Like, I don't know, for me, like singing, I forget that that's like was my main talent. Now it's kind of like my secret hidden talent. My main talent is like knowing Logic now. Which is
wild. Yeah, it's wild.
so yeah, thank you everyone for being here and for everyone that stuck out the whole time. Like this was a if anyone's come to my classes, like I usually don't do classes this long, so it was cool to have like a slower, chill hang, more of a hang is what it felt like. So
And get ready for tomorrow. We're going to dive in deeper. The other stuff is 20%, but it is more technical and very important to master. These tools that we'll use to fine tune this song are very important, and we'll dive into all of those in great detail. So we'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks again for coming.
yeah, it's the same time.
same place. Yep. Yeah, we'll send you out a reminder and everything too. But yeah, thanks for being here.